We're going to hold these nonprofit trustees and directors, they need to know their grantees. And if you are giving money, you can't just give the money away and then wipe your hands of it. That there's something called these fiscal authorities, and they pretend that they're not linked. We're going to investigate those, and it is going to go right up to the directors, and they can be held criminally liable.
Joining us now, the United States Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. Sir, great to have you on the show.
John, good to be with you.
You have your finger in so many important things, but people are stepping back now. They're starting to understand that the nonprofit world we created for charity has gone awry a little bit. We got people defrauding the government, people impeding the government, people spreading anti-Americanism and foreign propaganda. I know you and your team are working hard to sort through this. Give us an update on what you found and what you think might be some of the solutions.
Well, John, as you said, this is an important area. Nonprofits are mid-teens in terms of our national economy, and it's an area that's largely gone unchecked because we think of them as good altruistic service organizations, and most of them are, but there are some poorly behaved and organizations with nefarious behavior. And John, the main thing I want to begin by emphasizing is nonprofit status is a privilege. It is a privilege, the right to be exempt from paying taxes, from being able to take donations that are tax deductible, and have private citizens apply that against their taxes is a privilege. And we believe that there are many organizations who are violating this privilege. And we have started under the president's leadership with a memorandum that was issued last September. We are starting to investigate how some of these organizations are taking advantage of the system, whether they should have their status revoked, and whether the directors and trustees should be held accountable.
That's important.
Mr. Secretary, that distinction, the tax-exempt status being taken away, that is certainly a silver bullet. But what's the threshold? Because these days, when you're looking at a lot of these organizations that are performing anti-American measures, frankly, these days, that's subjective. What's the bar?
Well, again, it is that we support free speech, and that's obviously a right that everyone believes in. But when do you step over that line? When are you condoning violence? When are you condoning illegal activities? And when are you taking away other people's rights? And that's how we are thinking about it. We are getting lots of inbound in terms of both complaints and prospective investigations into these organizations, and many of them have operated with impunity. So again, we want to respect free speech, but we also don't want to have the government supporting organizations that suppress free speech.
Yeah, so important. So I want to ask a little bit about one big example that the Trump administration has already succeeded at. I believe the IRS was part of the team alongside the FBI. We had a charity that for decades said it was collecting money to fight extremism. It turns out they were taking that money and actually funding extremism. Of course, we're talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center. I know there's a criminal case ongoing. They got to go through the jury process. On the enforcement side, what could a group like that, now that the evidence is in the public, what could a group like that face in the near future?
Again, John, they could, many things can happen. I don't want to comment too much where there's ongoing litigation, but if they have their status revoked, could their assets be frozen? Could the assets be seized? Because it was obviously a great deal of deceptive marketing to the donors. And what did the donors know? And most importantly, they have a board of directors, or they have trustees, that all nonprofits have to fill out a form called 990s. And we have made it clear, Treasury or IRS has issued guidance over the past few months for these 990s that you that we are going to hold the directors and trustees accountable for their grantees. One of the things that we do here with our FinCEN apparatus at Treasury, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, is it is the KYC, know your client, for banks and financial institutions, and we are going to hold these nonprofit trustees and directors. They need to know their grantees, and if you are giving money, like, you can't just give the money away and then wipe your hands of it. That there's something called these fiscal authorities, and they pretend that they're not linked. We are going to investigate those, and it is going to go right up to the directors, and they can be held criminally liable.
Wow.
Sir, we've unfortunately seen a lot of these NGOs linked to foreign terrorism, and if there's ever anything that is anti-American, that would be it. But there are a number of nations who have been mentioned. China, of course, is one of them, Iran, in some cases North Korea, Russia. In your investigations or your inquiries into these organizations, who's the worst offender, or are they all pretty much offending equally?
Well, they're all offending equally, and we have seen, I think we've got 17, 18, 19 specific examples that we have made public, but we have multiples of that we are currently investigating. And look, if you are designated as an FTO, foreign terrorist organization, that would result in automatic loss of nonprofit status and, again, freezing of forfeiture of the assets. And we want to track the individuals because it seems like there are a lot of concentric circles here, that we seem to see the same names again, the same donors. So we are trying to track that quite a bit. The other thing that we are investigating are these donor advised funds, because that is a way to shield your name. You deposit the money at a fiduciary institution, and then you make a donation to one of these organizations, and it comes in under the name of the institution, and we think that should be unmasked.
That's interesting. Let me ask a little bit about the rise of politics and nonprofits. Obviously, when you're a 501c3, you're not supposed to be political. You can be out for your free speech, but you can't be political. There's lots of examples now when you go through these 990s. A group takes all their money in as a nonprofit donation, and they quickly transfer it to a C4, another political entity. Is that another area that your team will be auditing and looking at to make sure that we're not subsidizing tax-free politics?
John, that's a great question, and I have had the IRS leadership prepare for me a list of the large 501c3s that also have C4s attached, and we are reviewing how the money moves back and forth between those entities, and whether they have committed much more than a foot fault, whether they have gone over the line. I was involved in one economic forum that during the election, the leadership or the general counsel went to the head of the organization and said, we are in an election year, and we believe that you should move outside the organization because that you could become political rather than just talking plain economics. And he stepped away for 6 months. We never see that. We never see that on the left. We never see organizations kind of self-report or that kind of high level of compliance, and we're going to start investigating it.
Mr. Secretary, when it comes to flagging these organizations for inquiry or investigation, how much has your department relied on whistleblowers, and has there been a cascading effect? Once one of these organizations gets investigated, maybe that emboldens other people to speak out.
There is a cascading effect, just as we saw with the waste, fraud, and abuse in the Somali community in Minneapolis. Once Nick Shirley had his videos up and online, that resulted in a deluge of whistleblowers, and we see that everywhere. So that's why we try to publicize any of the cases early and gather as much information as we can. And through a lot of our whistleblowers, we are now able to offer rewards based on the amounts we recover.
Yeah, that's an amazing tool, and it does encourage people to come forward. Before we let you go, you have the flight stick of this economy. While the media sometimes talks it down, when you look at the fundamentals of this economy, particularly job growth, people spending more disposable income in their pockets because of the Trump administration's policy, what's your outlook for the next year inside the U.S. economy?
Well, John, on July 4th, we're not only going to have the 250th anniversary of our country, we're going to have the one-year anniversary of the working family tax cuts. And I've traveled with the president around the country. I've traveled myself. I listened to both community bankers and big business. And I can tell you that the economy is in great shape. And much of it is due to that tax bill that on one side, we've seen record investment in CapEx. On the other side, the president's four signature policies: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, the limited taxes on Social Security, and deductibility of interest for American-made cars, been a home run for consumers. And the economy was doing fantastic in February. The president rightly believed that Iran was an existential danger and had to be dealt with. It was a 90-day intervention there. And, but the economy, our economy, did the best in the world. In terms of any major economy, the push back on the naysayers, and first quarter just got revised up to 2.1%. I think that we are going to print more than 3% growth for the year. And importantly, the energy generated inflation, crude oil prices today are lower than they were on February 27th. I think gasoline prices are going to continue coming down for the summer driving season, and that we will be back towards the Fed's 2% inflation target. And the message is job growth has been substantial. Moving into April, until April, we had seen real wage growth for working Americans, and we're going to get back on that track to try to help the American people recoup some of their big affordability losses under the Biden administration, where it was the worst inflation in 48 years.
Whenever I go to a restaurant, I see the waiter and waitress smile about the no tax on tips. And when I was at the gas station today, people were smiling. Things are definitely moving in the right direction. Mr. Secretary, a great honor to have you on. Thank you for helping us understand all the...
Welcome, Patriots. Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to Feisty Digs, episode 49. We are nearly at 50, everybody, and what a beautiful day it is. Many might be a little discouraged, and many might even be encouraged. Well, this is the show that you guys all come to find the truth, the objective truth, and hopefully offer encouragement, not for the sake of hopium or simply encouragement, but to help everybody see things a little bit clearer. And we got a panel today, not just me and Feisty, but we got Mare Bear as well. Hello, ladies.
Hello. Hey there.
What a day. What an interesting day it is.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
I can see how some people might feel a little discouraged today, but again, Feisty.
Actually, I think today, once I'm done explaining it, I think you will see that there was some wise opinions released today.
That's interesting. Sounds a lot.
To include the one nobody's talking about, the geofencing one.
I saw that too.
Yes.
I did not see that.
Those J6ers now have some actionable information, don't they?
I did hear, what the heck's his name? Tina Peters' attorney.
Benny Johnson.
Not him.
She was on with
Tipton.
Benny.
Tipton. Yes. Tipton was talking about something to do with J6ers. There's actually a lot going on today. A lot.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple Supreme Court rulings.
Four.
There's
4 to go.
Yep. One of them didn't turn out the way that we were hoping.
Actually, it turned out
however,
a whole lot better than you think.
and this is why everybody comes here. That right there is why everybody comes here.
Yeah, well, everybody's talking about, oh no,
Oh,
we
it's going to
have
be
in
handed down to.
perpetuity.
It's supposed
That's
to be
not exactly what they said.
and it's supposed to be handed down to the. Well, they're handing it down to Congress, right?
Yeah, in 3 of the 4 opinions, although I haven't looked at the geofencing one that closely, in 3 of the 4 opinions, they explicitly say Congress get off your ass. Well, they didn't use those words, but
They should.
but yeah,
They could arguably.
they're reminding people, hey, this is congressionally driven, not court driven.
And they could arguably solve it all with the
They
Save
could have,
America Act,
they
right?
could have, should have, and haven't
Yes.
Which is why Trump immediately made the post that he did.
about Save America Act.
So yet, but it all seems to be leaning or leading towards a result that we ultimately want, but not in the way that we were
Well, you
expecting.
got to do it constitutionally, and the
Yes.
Constitution is explicit. What they did do is important. They reaffirmed Election Day is Election Day.
And you know what else it achieved that I think nobody's considering, or few people are considering? It shows the rest of the country that Supreme Court's not just working on behest of President Trump.
Right? They're not partisan.
No.
Right. So it destroys that argument. Right.
Well, I've done a lot of explaining in my chat room about how the Supreme Court operates, and I've reminded people many times, before you read the opinion, first look at the question posed to the court, because they can only answer that question. Right? That's it. They can't go outside those bounds. Then go into the dissents, because that'll give you kind of the roadmap of where this is going from
Yes.
bringing it back up again before the court. And there's some interesting things in here, especially with the Cook opinion, which I'm laughing at because, of course, Bill Pulte, my new boyfriend, came right out and said she will be indicted.
Listen, can I get some ones in the chat for for Mayor, looking very
Festive?
very festive today.
Yeah,
I love
still
it.
haven't found those. We were going to wear them both of us were going to wear them last week, and
I love it.
couldn't find the pinwheels.
I love it. Well, thank you everybody for joining over on Rumble as well as Pilled, and we are also streaming on X, my X, and it looks like Feisty has uploaded her slides.
Yes, thank you to my ever-loving husband.
Shout out to not
He's
Kevin.
figured out how to do it so that I don't have to use my bandwidth. He took the deck,
Nice.
pinged all of the slides, and then loaded them all up. So
Nice.
everybody's got them.
Shout out to not Kevin.
Yes.
And shout out to Marissa. Thank you, Marissa, for pinning that on both chats. And if you guys over on Rumble could hit that like, that's one way to support us. And same with over on Pill to hit that red pill. And you guys are loaded over there on, look at all those ones. Everybody loves the festivity. Mayor.
Well, it is in a couple of days, right?
That's right. Yes.
We're going to start this month off with a bang.
And I'm doing all I can to add pressure to Mare so we can make her a permanent fixture, earmuffs Mare, to Feisty Digs, because she's just amazing.
I love having her here.
Yeah,
Mary and I actually spend
A lot of
a
time.
lot of time on the phone.
I knew you two were going to hit it off.
We're like kindred spirits. We're actually, I think we're related. I really do.
I knew you two were going to hit it off, and I'm loving it. Who said that? Let's see. This is just Kevin. Love Feisty's husband's name, not Kevin. Yes, just
and
Kevin.
his name, just Kevin's name, is not Kevin.
Yeah, shout out to Just Kevin. Good to see you, brother. And we got some gold pills over there on Pill. Dixie started the show off with a pair of banger shades. Thank you. God bless you, Dixie. And thank you to Tweety52 for the can. Shout out to Just Fed Up with a holy ship. Says, let's see those lovely slides. Oh, I'm sure Feisty will come bearing fruit. Thank you,
Yes, I
Just Fed
do.
Up. And shout out to Henry 4570 with a cookie as well. Hopefully I didn't miss anything over on Rumble. Did I?
I don't see anything missed.
Let me just scroll. Nope. All right. What are we going to discuss today? And actually, before we do, that opening clip kind of confirms a lot of the 990 stuff that we've been talking about, right?
And it very well pairs up with the deck I have for today.
Oh, good.
So it's a perfect marriage right there. And you didn't even think about doing that because I know you haven't opened up the slides.
No. Because you need the element. I need the element of surprise.
Well, you're not going to be because I'm just reiterating what I've been saying for months.
Confirmation.
Okay. And then seeing Scott Bezant put that out, you didn't see me dancing over here because I was.
I felt it.
When he talked about 501c3s and their 501c4s moving money back and forth, that's exactly what's been revealed many times, where the big webs of how money is spread around and how they take grant money, sub-grant it, and then they just move it around so that it creates a web you can't trace until Doge came into the scene.
And are we going to really see anything stem from that right now, or should we wait until January?
I think you're going to see most of that action. Well,
because they have to start filling that out now, right?
Doge has already mapped the government, so I think that there are indictments underway, but the majority of the action is going to come with next year's 990 filings.
Regarding the NGOs and their donors. So for anyone out there who's maybe not
understanding. And remember, we also have the beneficial ownership piece.
I don't know what that means. What do you mean?
It means they can no longer hide who owns what.
Yep.
That was a big deal. That's what led to the Act Blue stuff. Remember, big blocks of money coming through Act Blue to a mortgage. Remember?
What, Mayor?
Soros.
Oh.
Well, actually, foreign is a big deal as well.
So what do you mean by ownership, though?
Who's under investigation as of this morning, officially, out in the open.
Soros?
Out in the open. So is Neville Roy Singham.
Mm-hmm.
They both are.
So what do you mean by ownership, though?
So what had happened when you block money like they did to the title companies, who was the genesis of that money was withheld. They didn't have a requirement to write down who the owner of that money was. So beneficial ownership says you can no longer hide behind trusts and such like that. And you have to specifically mention all the owners. So the beneficial ownership with the 990 corrections really strikes a dagger right into the heart of the illicit behavior.
Oh, this is everything we've been asking for.
Yes. And this is what's been going on. And then add things like the Hensley protocols that said you can't, just because the government says do it, doesn't mean you're absolved of responsibility for harm. So, I mean, they're just
and NGOs can't be political either. And that's all they've been.
501c3s can't. 501c4s, there's a little bit more flexibility.
Which the difference is there is that 501c4s document their donors.
They have to document their ownerships. However, when you got a 501c3 blocking money to their 501c4, you hide things.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
So technically, there's no such thing as a 501c3 anymore. Technically.
Well, there is. It's just not as opaque as it used to be.
Okay. Loopholes and all that.
You're going to see some, and I do think, because Congress got their butts handed to them today by the Supreme Court, and I do think a Congress that is actually attending to business will fix a lot of what's left.
And
by the way, for anybody that doesn't realize, a lot of what you see happening came out of the One Big Beautiful Bill. The provisions for what they're doing. If it weren't for that bill, we wouldn't see a lot of this. So
it's almost like they were anticipating all this, right?
Well, yeah. So Congress gave these flexibilities to the executive branch, and we're watching it be put in place. There's more work that needs to be done.
So for anyone big mad at Amy Coney Barrett today,
I think they need to really take a step back.
Okay.
I really do.
I felt that in my bones the second I heard it today. By the way,
yeah. Let me answer the question. I have it up. 1, 2. It should be here.
And yeah, Jax, we shouldn't be getting too comfy, anyways.
Right. The question presented is whether the federal election day statutes preempt a state law that allows ballots that are cast by federal election day to be received by election officials after that day. So, what the court decided was, what is election day? It's the first Tuesday in the month of November.
Mm-hmm.
But, and this is explicitly said, we can't invent a date for receipt of those ballots. This is up to Congress, which Trump came out rightfully and said, this is why we need the Save America Act.
You almost would have defeated the purpose if they had passed the Save America Act before this ruling. It's almost like they needed this ruling before the passage of this. No? Have we thought about that?
Well,
oh, Katie.
no, I disagree. Looking at the provisions of the Save America Act, and I'm thinking on my feet here, but
that would have solved the case that was just handed down today by the SCOTUS.
The court would have expressly come out and said that this question is moot
now because
regarding
the passage
receipt of the ballots, but it didn't change. And I think what's really important here is the independence of the court. They're not at the behest of the Trump administration. They are textually reading the law and as it applies to the Constitution. And the Constitution is explicit as to when Election Day is, but not how the manner, the elections, the manner in which elections are governed. And so they explicitly separated themselves from that, which they should have.
And then,
so here's the thing, because in Massachusetts there is a case.
I was just about to bring this up, yeah.
That is coming up, and the Supreme Court opinion today did strengthen the state case. So it did, because they've got that ballot. That initiative is on the ballot.
Wow.
For November. So if Save America Act gets passed, that initiative will probably have to come off the ballot.
Okay, so they're putting this ruling just put pressure on that Massachusetts case, which, for anyone who doesn't know or remember, that Massachusetts case is going to determine, correct me if I'm wrong, whether or not the United States Postal Service is an election official.
Official.
Right? Okay.
Right.
So interesting.
Because that was the big question asked in that case was, can you call? It has a Miracle on 34th Street sound to it, doesn't it?
Well, and by all appearances, Mayor, I think you maybe have reported on this too, that the U.S. the Postmaster General is working with Trump. He's very cooperative, right?
They officially, unless states will turn over in compliance, like the voter registrations, so that they can be cross-checked and make sure that there's not illegals, dead people, duplicates, people that moved. Unless they turn that over, then the postal system will not deliver the ballots, period.
Wow.
They will not participate in that. So they will just not do them in that entire state.
Any states given any challenge to this? Or?
Oh, yeah.
30 that are fighting.
30.
Including Republican ones.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just add that.
All blue states, I imagine.
And of course, that's before the courts.
All blue and 5 Republican ones, which are actually rhinos.
Yeah,
so
they're more Democrat run.
Right.
Yeah, you're looking at Ohio and that kind of stuff.
Exactly right, just Kevin. Mass of two shits. That's what I call it. Mass of two shits. What other cases, Supreme Court related?
So the two big ones I think that has generated the most attention is the Slaughter case and the Cook case. Okay, in the Slaughter case,
I think people are confusing the two today. I'm hearing
Slaughter case. She was the head of the FEC, so one of the commissions within the executive branch.
So both cases are about firings, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So in the Slaughter case, she was the head of the FEC, and remember, all those IGs that quit or were fired signed on to that. They're all independent, and they were relying on the Humphreys executor, which said that they couldn't be fired. Okay. And the Supreme Court said, well, no, the Humphreys executor is unconstitutional. They are members of the executive branch. Trump has every reason to let them go. So now they are at will employees, no questions asked. So expect another wave, right?
In the Slaughter case.
That's the Slaughter case. The Cook case is different.
But what I noticed, especially with the difference between the two, it really clearly defined, as if it needed to be clearly defined, that the Federal Reserve is indeed independent.
Yes, they protected the independence from political overhaul, right? Because if you can fire somebody at will, then obviously the political leanings of the executive can be brought to bear.
Right.
So they reaffirmed the independence of the Federal Reserve, but that's not this whole unitary thing. It doesn't get to the heart of the case. The heart of the case was over the fact that because it's independent, that in order to fire Lisa Cook, you have to have for cause. And when he fired her, it was his belief that she had done something illegal.
Right.
Not for cause. And so the opinion, which really does a good job, laid out the principles through which the executive branch can fire her. And it starts with, because that's where Justice Thomas came in, because if you noticed in that opinion, Robert spent a lot of time invoking his name. Justice Thomas said that the for cause thing was a low bar. That it didn't take much. The good faith belief that she did something wrong was reason to fire her. And they're saying, no, that's not true. For when you're firing somebody for cause, you have to have something documentable, and she deserved notice of that. Well, the issue with Lisa Cook is a fraudulent mortgage.
Bill Pulte, your boyfriend.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But that case isn't adjudicated yet.
Right.
Oh.
And because it's not adjudicated, there wasn't cause yet, because you got a due process claim here.
Okay.
And they didn't like the fact that he fired her over a Truth Social post.
Yeah, they were upset that she was fired in such a manner. But here's the thing, because Bill Pulte immediately came out and says she's going to be indicted. Now, think of the FHFA guy who just sat there going through all these mortgages and insurance products, sitting over at DNI now telling you she's going to be indicted. Oh boy.
But
this is going to blow up.
So to that point, it makes me wonder, okay, so if an indictment is sealed on a specific individual who's...
she's not indicted yet.
Well, but regardless, if you're anticipating an indictment of somebody who's sitting on the Federal Reserve, and you don't want them to continue committing crimes or continue stealing, theft or something, I feel like there's something being lost in the mix here, that because an indictment, that can take years sometimes in some cases.
Not necessarily. Remember what he did? He referred her already to DOJ. DOJ has access to some of the evidentiary trail, right? And his job over at DNI is to, the proof beyond a reasonable doubt, to send in the heel of that referral.
But how can you put her on notice, or how can you know what I mean?
Because she needs to, first of all, she needs to go through due process.
Of course.
I mean, she's being fired over a belief that she committed something. FHFA can't assign guilt. She hasn't had a case.
Right.
She's not been... Well, I mean, we all have that constitutional protection of being able to go before a jury of our peers, and that hasn't even gotten there.
So
just because she's referred and there's a belief that she did something wrong, that would totally upend her civil rights.
Okay.
So where the Supreme Court came down is they upheld the independence of the Federal Reserve, in that you got to protect it from political bias or political leaning, which I think we can pretty much agree with.
Yes, of course.
But they didn't say he couldn't remove her for cause once proven.
Right. She's not protected. She's
not protected.
She's got a few weeks.
Okay.
She just bought some time.
That's all that gave her. Right. Exactly.
Good.
So if you're somebody in a Lisa Cookish kind of position, and you got Fincham out there talking about how Act Blue was blocking large sums of money into mortgage products, I think you're a little nervous today.
Okay,
once
good.
they unseal, there will be, I would assume, what do you think, Feisty? They'll unseal a bunch of them that are related in that network crime. Like,
that is my opinion, that is likely, but I don't know when that happens, because you don't want to taint your big cases. So I don't know how soon we see them, but it is clear that that's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's a lot going on right now. And then again, one last thing, the difference between that case, the Cook case, and the Slaughter case, because the Slaughter case is appointed. Her position was appointed. It's executive branch. We're talking the executive branch, right?
Well, you're talking Slaughter. Yeah, those are commissions.
So he can fire her at will.
They can fire them at will. Yes. And that was a clear thing that came out of the Slaughter case.
Because CNN's running with Trump took 3 big L's today. That's what they're running with.
No.
Well, they also believe Jesse Smollett.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. No, there weren't 3 big L's. And in fact, there were no losses in the strictest sense of the term, in my view. The Cook-Slaughter stuff, there's nuances there. And once you understand due process, that was a key thought. Mm-hmm. Because if she had had due process, I believe the Supreme Court would have ruled differently on the Cook case. The issue they had was the fact that it is an independent agency, that you gotta have for cause, and you didn't demonstrate for cause. So there's a huge, that's not a loss. I don't care what anybody says.
I agree. There's only 2 years left in Trump's administration. You got to think past that. You got to think other future administrations too, right?
This goes very much into the future. And now what has really come out of today, which I think is an even bigger statement, is, remember, I've talked many times about Schedule F.
Yep.
And making policy-facing positions at will. Mm-hmm. Supreme Court just upheld it. So the whole Schedule F thing that they... Remember, in the first term, Trump put in some Schedule F rules. Biden came in, the executive branch, the lackeys entrenched and fortified, struck that rule down. They came back in the second term and said, well, your delegated authority doesn't trump our actual authority. And they threw their opinion out, brought back Schedule F with a couple extra hammers. Supreme Court today just upheld that. So that is now a statutory fact.
There's another state Supreme Court case that was heard today or ruled on today that I'm not hearing much discussion on as well. That is the Colorado Supreme Court itself had just unanimously blocked Democrat redistricting in efforts in Colorado, which would have given them 3 more seats in the U.S. House. The delegation will remain 4R, 4D. That is huge, by the way.
And that's in line with the state Supreme Court case out of Virginia.
That's probably, yes, I think that's what they based it off.
It's a very similar thing.
Yep. So that's a big win.
But there's another neat one, that's the fact that the certiorari was denied.
What certiorari
for the
again?
Eugene Carroll case. Mm-hmm. Trump lost that one.
I saw that.
But he's not giving up.
No.
Well,
no, he's actually got a lot of avenues there, because we already know that the U.S. Attorney in Chicago is looking into that.
They won't hear it. That's all.
They just didn't grant certiorari. This is not a thing for them. They will answer constitutional questions. This isn't a constitutional question, and they're not going to micromanage the evidentiary.
So is it really a loss, though?
Well,
not really.
On the surface, it is, because now the money that's in escrow for the first case, the $90+ million, has to be paid out with interest.
To her.
Because they won't hear it. But remember, there's a second case, and they're looking into Reid Hoffman in Chicago. So bringing you...
Yeah, and we know there's plenty there.
Yeah. Bringing you, former U.S. Attorney Yu, onto DeGeneva's team really kind of gives you an insight there. I don't know if you guys remember who Yu is, but he was the one that authored the torture documents, the torture reports from 9/11.
Oh.
He's very conservative, and he's looking into weaponization. He felt the government weaponized interrogations with the 9/11
report
defendants.
Yeah.
So he's now working with DeGeneva on weaponization, and you got this case in Chicago that's looking into Reid Hoffman and his funding of Eugene Carroll. I think maybe E. Jean Carroll may very well take her $90 million, which is already in an escrow account, and consider herself paid off, because I don't think the rest will work, because it's a defamation case against Trump.
Wow. Well,
so there's more coming. And then finally, the geofencing one. That's a huge J6 win.
Yes.
Huge J6 win.
We ought to spend time on that because nobody else is talking about that.
Yeah, they all got stuck on elections,
good
right?
point.
Well, and it is what it is, but yeah.
So,
I'm still here. I'm just eating something.
okay. So the case itself was over geofencing. Geofencing is where the administration or the law enforcement, FBI, was using block data from the providers to look at who was in the area. So they literally put a fence around and said, we want to know all of the people that were in this area. And it was what was the genesis for a lot of the J6 defendants.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were caught up in geofencing. So the Supreme Court said today that in order to do that, you have to have an actual warrant. And they didn't.
Wow. That's not just for
He's
J6.
joking.
That's not just for J6, right?
No. This wasn't a J6 case.
No, it's...
But the implications of this impact the J6 cases.
Yep.
There were several people that were indicted and charged and sentenced because their cell phone data was captured inside the Capitol or on the Capitol grounds.
Now they're saying they need a warrant for that, right?
You had to have a warrant for that,
and
which
does
makes...
the individual need to be notified that a warrant was sought for it?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
That's where FISA comes in.
Yep.
Depends on where they take that. But it is an illegal search, right, that they did, which I think has a huge impact on J6 cases moving forward. And I think the weaponization of government piece will apply to this.
Wow.
I would agree.
It was a pretty big decision, which kind of surprised me that nobody really was talking about it.
Well, Peter Tickton, like I said,
no
Peter
more
Tickton.
dragnet searches. Everybody, they can't.
Right.
They can't do that, right?
I wonder if some of the J6ers that were like if you had a group of, let's just say, a dozen defendants that were wrongfully swept up in that, their cases were very similar. Could they get together?
It could be a class action. We'll have to see what they do with it, with the weaponization investigation that's going on.
That's what I was thinking. Good for them.
Remember, we were told class action lawsuits are powerful, right?
Right. Very effective. Yeah, I do think it ends up there. And what's interesting, if you go backwards, remember Congress was upset because, FISAs were looking at congressional members, remember? And they tried to pass language in the funding bill that would have sued the government $500,000 per incident. Remember this? And they, under pressure, had to take that out. So they were willing to shield themselves, but nobody did anything about this. And it ended up before the Supreme Court, which I'm glad it did.
Yes.
Because now they can't even dick around with language in a bill. This is law of the land. So the fact that the dragnet was considered unconstitutional and that a warrant must be issued to do that, it means that we can't be found guilty by association for a change, right? What a novel idea.
Yeah.
Because we're in the same block doesn't make sense. So, yeah, this is a sea change for how they've been doing law enforcement. A huge weaponization piece.
This goes back to the Fourth Amendment.
Yes.
How does this affect selling the data? Because I was thinking about it like with 2,000 Mules. Like they bought
ping data.
Right. How if you don't mind, let's have that discussion real fast. How does that, what's the difference in what came down? I know the government can't do it, but
I haven't looked into that. I have to think about that.
Okay. Because
it's a really good question, but I
mentioned it at the end of Truth Blitz, and that was my thing. I was like, I'm really glad we have the Fourth Amendment and it's reaffirmed, but can't they still sell, and can't anybody buy it? Like, couldn't China buy it, or Iran, or you know what I mean? Like, it's for sale. So the government can't use it, but anybody else can? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
like I said, I hadn't thought of this. I got to think through this, if you don't mind.
Okay, I have to take a second and be proud.
How dare you not know everything right now? Right when we ask you, Feisty. Okay.
First time clip. We what time in the show is this shit? I gotta clip it.
I think it will have an effect.
It should.
Because what they did is they removed a huge loophole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, for future, they cut off the nuts of the deep state. That's what I'm seeing with all these Supreme Court rulings. Pardon my French, but that's the way I see it.
Well, if you're going to take away the drag nets, I don't think you can purchase the ping data then.
I hope not, because that pisses me off.
I really do need to think about it.
I'm so proud of myself.
Because you stumped me, because I'm sitting here thinking, is it a Fourth Amendment issue to capture ping data from a tower when you've got, for an example of the mules, when you've got video to back up the fact that they were stuffing ballots? I think there's a little bit of a different
for
nuance
legal
there.
issues, maybe, but for marketable things, probably not.
Right.
But can legal use marketable stuff as well? You see where I just went with that? Like, what's this? Like, if one side can use it for marketable reasons, but the legal side can't use it, what's to stop the legal side from accessing the marketable stuff?
I think before you get into the weeds there, I think you got to remember we're talking law enforcement.
Right.
We're not talking marketing. We're not talking those things. We are talking strictly what the government did from a law enforcement perspective. But I think
what Mara and I are saying is that there isn't really a difference between that. That there, what's to stop the lawful?
I don't think that's been completely decided. Now, that said, I can see where the marketability of this data will plummet. Not because the court said they can't do it, but because it's a natural evolution.
And therefore it should, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. So if they can still legally collect and sell anonymized data, but their customer base was state and federal governments, right? Then there's a different story.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Maybe we're on the path to them not tracking us as much through all the apps.
Right.
I think there's still got to be some discussion. That's my opinion. But
if there's one thing that's being determined with a lot of these Supreme Court rulings, and I feel like there's been an overwhelming amount of them in the last 2 years, it seems like the Supreme Court is beginning to nail down all the language around all this stuff for once. I gotta say, this is one of the best Supreme Courts in my lifetime.
I've followed the Supreme Court for over 35 years, and I have generally appreciated the court. There's been decisions I've hated, and justices that I've been angry at because of the nuance in their language.
We had Roe v. Wade overturned.
But what you've got is what's different is the petition being filed.
Right.
This is what I keep telling everybody. Before you read anything, click on the question mark at SCOTUS. Read the question asked.
Right.
Traditionally, they never ask a direct question. They go all around the edges of it. The questions in these petitions are more direct than I've ever seen. It's not that the Supreme Court is different. Well, it's not that the court is different. They're being allowed to answer a direct question.
Isn't his name Sauer? The gentleman that's usually arguing on behalf of the Trump administration.
Oh, he's got a funny voice, right? Yeah. That guy.
He's really.
He sounds like RFK Jr.
He kind of does, yeah.
I found if I listened to him on a faster speed.
It's easier.
You and Ash both. Ash is like, when she says faster, she's like 2 times faster, though.
That's normal speed. What are you talking about?
That would drive me nuts.
How do you think I get through so many audiobooks?
I couldn't do it. I would lose track. I get a little spacey sometimes, anyways. Not. I don't have TikTok brain, but I need to understand what I'm listening to sometimes.
Well, it's hard to understand when the person's voice is difficult.
Yeah.
So regarding that particular case on selling, I think one of the best ways to look at where it's going is to see what's in Congress. And what is it? I'm trying to think. Not for Sale Act. There's a bill that's been sitting in a committee.
Okay.
That our data can't be sold.
Okay. That would be a worthy one.
So that would take this opinion today and couple that, and I can see that happening.
Okay.
That would be great.
Let's see. Trump named rhinos standing in the way of the Save America Act. Murkowski, Collins, Tillis, McConnell, the usual suspects, of course, and says Rand Paul is in favor of the Save America Act, if you can believe it. Is that enough? I don't think so. Even with J.D. Vance's vote? No. We need at least one of those 4, right? Or 2 of them.
Aren't we down to 3?
Maybe. Oh, I thought Collins.
Know.
Yeah, something was changed at one point, and I thought Collins said she was going to vote for it, but I don't know.
Collins, because she's got a bit of a political pickle in Maine.
Yeah.
So she said yes
a couple
weeks ago.
I thought she did, but today Trump just said that she's not. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. You got share, by the way, if you want to. You got anything you wanted to share? Yeah.
Boy, we're done a lot faster than I thought.
Well, it's all on you. It's whenever you want to.
So, I have been working, as you know, for months
By the way, thank you, Peak West, for the cookie.
To show the underbelly of the system. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I've taken you through so many different things. So, as usual, I have another pretty slide, right, Mary?
It's a non-fallopian tube. I'm very proud of you.
Aren't you pleased?
She told me that you were the one who said, that looks like a fallopian tube.
Really was
So
a funny
I took
moment.
that question to ChatGPT and I laughed. I said, it was just made known to me that this looks like a fallopian tube. Was this intentional? After the conversation, it was a funny conversation with an AI, with a robot, but it ended with, whatever you do, do not add uterus of evasion to your talking points.
I got somebody at the door. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
Sorry.
That looks like a Ferris wheel, which is
It almost is. It should be circusy, right? That's actually the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things that have been happening domestically as well as internationally. So, like I showed you months and months and months ago, the shadow banking system became a blueprint.
Right.
Okay? It was like after it was all exposed with the Zanjani network and LIBOR in 2012, it was like, oh, what a neat idea we have here. And they immediately fragmented the structure, the architecture, by adding more legislation. And I keep telling people, when you look at any kind of a structure, the more regulatory process that gets involved, the more opaque the system gets, right?
Oh, yes.
You burden it. So what I did was I decided, hey, I'm seeing a common theme, and I'll show it to you in a minute. And because of the common theme, I'm seeing the exact same architecture keep showing up. So I said, okay, let me see if I can do an empirical review as best as I can. It's putting my MBA to use, right? and see what I come up with. So I'm seeing this thing in 2 areas now at the time, housing and the COVID stuff. I said, what if that can be repeated? What if it is? What is it going to tell me? And like I said, I saw it in 2 areas. You can see the identical structure where they used an intermediary NGO type entity or something not them to be the face of the activity. What is it? What is it? Because it becomes a shield, right? You hold the entity or the NGO or the entity guilty of what you're seeing, but all of this stuff in the background is entirely inside a web that you can't unravel. Right? So I said, okay, let me do this another way. Let me take 12 sectors and test those 10 questions I showed you on all 12 sectors and see if the same thing comes up. So then there's the 10 questions.
Okay.
What am I looking for? It's the same set of questions to all 12 sectors. One of them I used as an outlier, open source software. Why? Because it's not government facing.
Okay.
I wanted to see if that also showed up. And it led me to some interesting findings. Okay. And I'm going to just scroll through because what you're going to see is something interesting. Now, before 2008, there was still quite a bit of government oversight. Between 2008 and 2012, that started changing. And everything that we're experiencing today came as a result of what came out of the 2008. That's where you saw the fragmentation. Okay. So I'm not expecting you to read the slides, although the slides are publicly available now. Thank you, not Kevin. But it really is important when you think of the evolution of what we're doing, because we had all these structures were developed starting in the 70s, right?
Right.
And then we saw the housing crash in 2008, which really exposed the manipulation of the global monetary system. And we started then from investigating that, we started seeing scandals come out. That's the LIBOR scandal out of City of London, Zanjani Network out of City of London that was actually funding the IRGC. And then you got how they adapted that system to hide themselves. And now we're seeing the global convergence of accountability come together. Is that a fair, makes sense, right? So when I took those questions, and you'll see this matrix on every one of those sectors, this is shadow banking, bam. You see the same architecture, fragmented with the network, Zanjani.
Layer it over each sector.
And here it is for defense procurement contracts.
Okay.
There you go. The industrial base. This is the prime contractors, right? Here we are with biodefense. You've seen the map a million times. EcoHealth became the face. That's the intermediary. Here's housing. This is Bill Pulte. And you got the Finance Alliance. These are the institutional intermediaries, trusts, and such like that.
Where is Fannie Mae in that structure?
Fannie Mae is actually a part of up here. This is the funding engine, but it's hidden behind the alliance.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
So here is healthcare, and sure enough, payment coordination became the face while they hid behind. All of this is in the web, all around the outside. Okay. All of this is in the outside. This is the face of everything healthcare architecture, is the healthcare payment coordination network. Does that make sense? And then while that's got the big glowing light on it, everything going on underneath is opaque because it was hidden intentionally. So here we go with insurance and reinsurance, another Bill Pulte stronghold, right? And what do we get? Same thing again. You got the global reinsurance network, but all of the entities in the background are hiding. Look who's up here. Congress, state legislatures, right? NAIC.
Treasury.
So remember, we've got a key prime contractor that was thrown out of Treasury, right? That was supposed to have been doing these audits and didn't. So here's higher ed, which is another hot button item. Sure enough, all the research, the university research enterprise became the face of all of the stuff hidden behind the scenes. And what I'm showing you, and here's energy. That's critical infrastructure. Now they're going after the grid operators by hiding what wasn't done at the state and federal levels. And remind you that a lot of this funneled money to support the network, right? So pharmaceutical development, same thing. You got the whole pharmaceutical development network, and you're looking at therapies. Think the fraud they're finding in things like oh God, what's the big one? The one that Nick Shirley's finding.
The Leering Center.
The Leering Center. But no, I'm thinking more of the autism stuff. That's part of this face, right? But the actual fraud is being committed out behind it.
See, people would assume it's under the healthcare sector. That's where I would have thought, but it's...
Well, no, because they're selling drugs to fix autism. That's not working. So it gets better. So, and then they're applying that same fragmented architecture with AI right now. So then I'm looking at it going, okay, I'm looking at political campaign financing. I probably should have done election integrity. I toyed with it. But it always comes down to the money for campaigns. Sure enough, we're hidden again. And there's a huge case. Republican National Committee has been bringing cases to court.
Finally.
And we're leading into Act Blue has that major and catastrophic case for Act Blue and the Democrats. So I decided to focus on this one. So then open source. This is an outlier. And sure enough, it shows the same fragmented architecture. And so you got to ask the question, what's causing this?
Right.
Why is it we've gone from a traditional oversight into something so fragmented that there is no oversight? Well, for something like open source, it's actually pretty easy to figure out because the rules and regs, the laws that they impose from the state and federal level hits Main Street. Right? And they end up trying to, fight back against the liability. Their goal is to destroy that liability. But what is happening in these larger institutions eventually does spill into Main Street, and they are forced to fragment in order to deal with the regulatory oversight. I've been saying for years, businesses don't choose not to pay their employees. They can't. Right. They're spending more and more and more of their resource dollars on compliance, which is absurd. Yeah. Right? Because the regulatory burden. So I'm showing that because you get a wave actually on Main Street where you get the shock, you normalize, you accept the shock, right? That's right here. A new shock comes in, and it's this constant drumbeat that eventually has forced many businesses out of business. Okay? So there's something that has to be done about it. Well, enter USAID. That was actually the blueprint of everything you're watching now. Of all of those architectures that I showed you, and the fact that they got fragmented, and knowing they used the shadow banking structure as kind of a blueprint, you can go back to USAID because they started expanding in 2010. And it was the most matured of all those architectures that I showed you. That's why I didn't put it in there. But before that, they had a straight traditional oversight. After 2010, it was straight appropriations. And every year when they would go for more money in the appropriation process, the budget process, they would say, we don't have enough employees. We don't have enough employees. They had over 10,000 employees. How can they not manage the workload? So you started seeing the hyper intermediary model get actually emboldened by Congress. Does that make sense?
Yes.
No.
And then now we're into structural reforms. And I wanted to show that because what that model became is the exact same model all of these architectures are using. Identical. From using all of the avenues that they've got from grants, sub-grants, they're using the same model. But now we're at a place where things are changing. They're changing in a big way. I wanted to show this one because part of the way of fragmenting and hiding how money flows, remember when I did the Carmelo stuff and I showed you the 5 tiers from LCCHR down to the ground? It's the identical model that's in USAID.
Can you explain what's changing?
I'm about to.
Okay.
I will show you. I got a slide just for that.
Okay.
Okay. So what they did is the money is up at tier 1, but they grant and sub-grant it out. And by the time it gets to the ground, you don't know where the money came from.
This was previously.
And that's been the biggest issue. I'm sorry?
This was previously. This is what was
This is
happening.
right up to recently. This is in the Carmelo. I showed this in Carmelo, where it was still going on.
Okay.
Although U.S. aid is gone, the grant money, that original grant money, was still in the system. It was still in cycle.
Yeah, it's passed to the State Department, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, because of what happened was USAID pushed out all these grants before the administration came in. So the NGOs, Tier 2, their primary intermediaries, had that money. They subgranted that money out to Tier 3, and then that got subgranted out till finally the local networks were able to fund the field
This
operations.
is incredible. So you're talking about all the different modes and methods that they've used to hide this money. Is that what you're talking about?
For your benefit, I don't think you saw that, but
I was
showing
listening.
all the architectures are fragmented in the same exact way.
Wow. Okay.
And so it supports what I showed you with Carmelo with the 5 tiers and how you hide that money. So now,
Plausible deniability.
The reason why USAID became the first target.
Yeah,
First of all,
that's a lot of
appropriated
people's
money.
questions, right? And we've all suspected USAID is not the only one achieving all this.
But it is the most mature of all the architectures. It's the oldest one. You started seeing it come out as a result of the reforms they were required to make in 2010.
So what you're explaining too could explain why in South America all of a sudden we're seeing
conservative. Well, USAID was doing regime change.
Yes.
Usually
using
a
our
flat number of
tax
about
dollars.
$5 billion, using our tax dollars. Yes.
through block grants.
Mm-hmm.
Holy.
The ultimate irony is because the Democrats are the same ones that scream about the CIA doing regime change throughout history. However,
But they appropriated the dollars that are doing it.
yes, and then they screamed, "People are going to die. You're killing 4.5 million children." Probably saved that many.
Musk just
And then
posted
at the
something on
same
this today.
time, you became after the LIBOR scandal. Remember, we started implementing SOFR, that moved the interest rate back to the U.S. So City of London started losing power. USAID filled in and said, if you want foreign aid, you're going to do as we tell you. So you can see how they adapted after all those exposures in after the 2008 crash.
You know what's crazy is there was a post today that said, did Elon Musk kill millions of people by cutting USAID? Question mark. We now have the preliminary 2025 mortality data from several African countries, and the answer may shock you. The answer is no. Obviously, there's no detectable mortality signal at all. In other words, cutting off the funds,
Cutting off aid saved lives.
Wrap your mind around that for a moment.
It actually is saving lives. When you digest that, and I agree with you, wrap your mind around it. When you digest what that says, what they're saying is U.S. aid was killing people, not Elon Musk, not any one actor.
Wow.
Which we've known for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that a step further because the test case itself is a plug and play. So they started investigating USAID, and you have the initial review that started in February of 2025 when Doge went in, right? Doge mapped it out, financially reconstructed end-to-end tracing of all the money. So from the point of the appropriation all the way to the final implementation, now we've got a full data set, right? Wow. And then with that, they were able to map out all the intermediaries that I showed you on that map, the one in the spotlight. And then with that, you could take that and form a methodology to go look at everything else, right? And now we've got architectures to compare. And from that, you can use those comparable architectures, and we're seeing it. These are just 3, right? We already know biosecurity is under the spotlight, and we also know that biosecurity was hidden behind national secrets. Well, that's been removed. We know election integrity is under the spotlight. That's what's going on all over the country. And then the foreign aid stuff is also a part of that as well. So the weaponization of government started happening because the gig was up. And you've already seen examples where all this early work is actually leading to actionable intelligence, and people will be held accountable.
So these steps are necessary. These steps that are being taken right now, and why many might feel like it's, well, but it's taking too long, guys. It's taking too long to achieve this.
Breakneck speed. I'll be real honest with you. With the aid of Doge and quantum computing, this is happening a lot faster than it's ever happened.
To take place in order for us to receive accountability. So,
well, not just accountability, because that is important.
Yeah.
But systemic oversight.
Yep.
We cannot allow this to happen again, so we have to build a model that's resilient enough to catch illicit behavior in real time. And if you look at what they've done, you can see that's been happening.
Objectively, yes.
Objectively, right. It's about the data.
So what does that tell you, everybody, about Musk, for those who don't trust him? Gosh, I got to tell you, without him, I can't imagine where we'd be right now.
I can't imagine where we'd be, because I'm looking at those architectures and I'm seeing governance attending to the very fragmented architectures I showed you. Right? It is an obvious, observable pattern. There's no question anymore. Like I said, I asked the same 10 questions of 12 sectors. All of them were fragmented. All of them point directly back to laws, statutory provisions, regulations, and such like that. And now we're seeing it actually be unraveled, right? And when you look at financial transparency, that gets right back to what Scott Bessent was talking about, data integration. One of the best things that's happened because of Doge is because the government is officially mapped, all the databases are linked. So you can now follow it straight through. It's a full pipeline.
Unbelievable.
So, and now that brings about an oversight, right? And once you start to bring in the oversight, then you can make institutional reform happen.
And we're talking about pure evil.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I put these out. You'll have to look on the slides, but these are all 12 of the sectors. And I'm showing over here, these are the documents that I looked at, only tier 1, by the way, no news. But these are the legal authorities that were employed to fix and remove the fragmentation. So you'll see those on the 2 slides that are on my X account. Thank you, not Kevin, for putting those up there. But what I tried to do is, and it's impossible to capture everything, but I tried to show you there is concerted effort to reform a broken system. And it is amazing because we're actually watching governance evolve. And where it used to be, and I've showed you this before, the behavior happens and it's a decade or more later before you see reform or accountability. Yes, it's still true here, but the reform that's happening, the accountability and the reform that's happening is not just because of that illicit behavior, but the reforms are becoming systemic so that we can capture it in the future. Which gets to the heart of, by the way, the Pope's encyclical. Just going to point that out.
So I had this conversation with Duppy last night. We were watching a movie based on AI called The Creator. And it was very dystopic, but it also kind of, I don't know how to explain it. But the conversation we had was based on AI, the introduction of AI, and can it be thwarted at a later date if it's implemented by the right hands and with the right security measures and guardrails in place? Can it be thwarted at a later date? I think that no, it can't be once those measures are in place.
You know, I'm going to tell you a story. Remember the Obamacare site when the Obamacare bill first came out?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want people to see the price of the packages, the bronze, silver, whatever. They removed the top layer of the site, the architectural top layer of the site. And it immediately opened the site to infiltration and stealing of all that personal data. Because you build security, it's supposed to be built into the structure. You can't remove the layer without removing those intended securities.
Unless you knowingly remove those securities.
The moral of the story is you don't go backwards and retrofit security. You don't go backwards and retrofit guardrails. You have to build it out with the guardrails in mind. We're at a stage right now with AI where it is still a tool. I proved that to you when I showed you the sovereignty test that I did. It is still a tool. But, and in fact, it's a tool that doesn't even think highly of itself. If you remember, they all graded themselves not too favorably, remember? Moderate and high risk. Yeah. So what that says is we still can control it. So now is the time to have the discussion. If we wait 5 years, the window's closing. By 7 years-ish out, it's too late.
Right.
So the conversation is happening at the right time.
Yeah, because, and he makes another good point. I guess, I got to give him credit because he made another good point where he references that famous Jurassic Park quote where he says, life will find a way. And it's hard to dispute that.
Well, I'm also going to remind you that systems don't make decisions. People do.
People do, right.
And if you don't have accountability built into the system, people can make unfettered decisions.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
That's the piece, because you got to be able to look at Anthropic with the poison data.
Oh, Anthropic, by the way, did you hear today? They're now linked up with California, and they're going to be backing up all state and local governance in California.
Well, that's interesting because they've also are under a short leash with the feds.
Very short leash.
Very short leash. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that. And the fact that they don't have capacity and they're leasing SpaceX for capacity is equally interesting. And remember, the poison data was found by who? Google or Alphabet. Remember? So there's now a redundancy built in. It's going to be interesting to watch where this goes. Let me finish this because this is where I wanted to land.
Claude's Anthropic to be used in California's state and local government agencies. That's what I got.
Yeah, but like I said, they got a short leash. So there's oversight is what I'm getting at. And we've seen proof of that. So I want to land on these last couple of slides. There's only 3 left. You've all seen this slide. I've talked about it a million times. 3 sides of the triangle. 666 is the corruption within the 3 sides. When there's not balance, when one side gets corrupt the money, it easily ends up into governance, and quickly your influence systems, your religion, media, such like that will then influence. Okay. So I've also shown you, this is straight out of a deck. I didn't even edit it. Straight out of a deck showing when all 3 sides are in balance, you have global stability, right? Because the system's stable. What we're watching is that come about.
It's stabilizing.
This slide is an amazing slide because, and I spent several days researching this particular slide to get all these points on here. You not just have U.S. government actions, you've got international actions. For the first time in history, what we're doing here is becoming a global initiative to tighten it up. Shadow banking and those architectures are losing ground. When I see FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, which is an international task force, the standards they develop come from all these audits. And they implement these standards, and all the banking systems, financial systems around the world have to match those standards or they lose their international credibility. Then you got AML, you got ISO, you got all these projects that are being implemented. And the part that we're a part of is all of these efforts here in the United States are feeding into what they're doing globally. So for the first time in our known history, you've got a global effort to coordinate enforcement and oversight. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, yes. I wonder if Kash Patel's efforts there in China, where that would land on this.
Directly to this.
Where would that land?
Because remember what they were doing. They were making the precursor drugs, sending them to Mexico, and they ended up on the street. So that's a FinCEN directive.
Oh, FinCEN, okay.
And it also affect the digital wallets, so the wallet sanctions that you've been watching.
So they were using crypto.
They were using crypto.
Yeah, they were. Wow.
We know that.
Oh, yeah. Holy cow.
So, landing on the last slide, we're actually literally watching the world change in front of our eyes. There's no doubt about it. And I think that's a nice tale to be told.
And visibility, I like that. Visibility leads to global stability. So, yes, that's transparency. Which is when
total transparency. When you remove the opaqueness of a system, you get to see who the players are, what they're actually doing, how much money it's taking up.
And if anybody wants to see any strong indicators of this transparency, this visibility, look no further than what I've been saying for months now, that you better expect some level of fraud in the arena fraud to be exposed on a daily basis.
And we've been watching that.
What have we been
pointing
seeing?
It out?
Yes.
We've been watching all this fraud come out.
I report it on it every single day.
But what's really interesting, Sean, is most people think federal or state. They're not seeing the continuity. We've got global to federal to state all mapped.
But Sean, Feisty, Mayor, what about the blue states? They're not seemingly cooperating.
They don't have to. It doesn't hold back accountability, does it?
So, for example, let's say New York, okay? Because let's say Kami Mandami and all the stuff. So
Kami Mandami,
all the rosters and all the things, they're not going to participate. You know, we're going to give asylum to Haitians. All the things. So
yeah, he's already said he's not going to participate with the removal of temporary protected status. That's a direct federal law that he's violating. Guess what he loses?
Federal dollars.
Can he get arrested?
Federal dollars.
See, and that's what I'm wondering. At what point will they cut the money spigot off?
As soon as he has one incident where a TPS person isn't being removed.
So that's
and the Supreme Court upheld that.
I mean,
what'd you say, man?
That might be like a week away.
Yeah,
it could be very soon. Yes.
He's daring them to do something like that.
He's daring to put himself on the right on the spotlight with we're the federal government and we don't have to bend our knee to you.
So my question to you, Feisty and Mayor, would be: can enough of this be achieved in the next 2.5 years, so that when we suspect that J.D. Vance may be present himself as the healing president to precede Trump? Well, could enough of this be achieved in that short period of time? Because 2 years goes by in a flash.
My opinion.
That's what I'm looking for.
Accountability has a heavy weight. It's also the best deterrent.
100% it is.
Get a couple
and that's what we all wanted to see, too, in this term.
You get a couple of key accountability issues coming up, a couple of key indictments. You watch. Do we get it finished? I doubt we do. But will we be long on the path to doing so? Yeah. I think a couple of really good indictments with the accountability well noted is the best deterrent possible. And it ends up becoming one of those things that the public wants to see more of because they will immediately start feeling it in their wallet. So yeah, I do think by 2028 you can get us down that road, substantially down that road. Will we be done? I don't think so. But I think that's something that we will, because you got your state and local. Feds can only do so much. We still got to clean up our state and local. So hold people accountable for the fraud and let the machine start up.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mary.
Well, I'm just, my brain's spinning. I was thinking if we got the indictment in full swing with Act Blue, that would be a very sweeping, and that would have a lot of ramifications. That would be a big one to happen in the next, I'm hoping this year for that. I'm hoping.
Well, I do think that that's a long way down the road.
Okay.
We've known about Act Blue since 2020.
Right.
We've known that they've been playing these games for a long time.
Yes.
Many of us did deep dives into Act Blue back then
That's
and saw what they were doing.
Yes.
So it's not new information that's coming out. Although what we're seeing is actually that information being buffered, right?
Yep.
Being supported is the better word. When you see people like Fincham talking about these major foreign block grants of money going to a title company.
Yes.
So obviously they've gone a lot further than what we uncovered in 2020. So that tells you the investigations never halted. They've just gotten bigger. And the fact that you got the idiot sitting in Congress pleading the fifth to every question.
Oh, Act Blue, yeah.
Including her own name.
But going to be held.
They're in a serious case.
She's going to be held accountable for that.
And I've said this many times. We've seen SPLC get indicted. You don't arrest and put a company in jail. You put people in jail.
Right. But didn't we recently see some names?
Actually, even though they're talking about Act Blue, we watched her plead the fifth. It's a first indication of people being indicted. I think that's a big thing to watch.
Didn't we see some names from SPLC? Members of the board?
Well, yes, but no indictments yet.
But no indictments.
Indictments from them.
I really enjoyed the book Making Hate Pay, if anybody wants to.
A really good book.
What's that about?
It's the history of the SPLC. Under all the dirty.
Tyler O'Neill.
Like they've been doing this scam literally since the beginning. It was started
since they first founded.
Same with the ADL.
Yeah, he was always a con. He was always scamming both sides. He had relatives in the KKK. Like, yeah.
Which a lot of people have had, which a lot of people take issue with, and maybe Feisty or Mayor, either one of you can opine on this. That why just the SPLC when you have the ADL, the ACLU?
Because they're low-hanging fruit, Sean.
I know this. Feisty.
Well, I think optically, I would also say it has a lot to do with Charlottesville.
Oh.
The SPLC thing, certainly.
And the fact that they brought in foreign adversaries, right? They brought in the Nazis from Ukraine. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. So that's going to, like, the optics of that tying to even the J6 and all the other stuff. And yes, that optically will rip a big Band-Aid off.
It goes into, because remember, the adversary, they became Patriot Front.
Mm-hmm.
And we followed that all the way through 22, 24, so yeah, there's a big deal there, but it doesn't remove the others. When you see the grants and subgrants and how the money flowed, it's going to open the door to all the other. And that's where the beneficial ownership comes in, right? And the 990 reforms and the tracing and tracking of grants and subgrants, which God bless Tulsi for turning off the lights with a bombshell, right? Because that was a really big deal when she released what we've been talking about of all those grants and subgrants and how it got mired into the system.
So the way I see it with the NGOs, because there's an overwhelming amount of them that I think are complicit and that have been funding illicit activities and have been even funding campaigns, if you will. I can see taking them all down in one fell swoop to be a daunting task. So there must be another approach.
Daunting? I love the pulling the chin hairs. I really do. I think watching people squirm as they pull a hair here and a hair there.
Yes.
And I think this is the best thing. I mean, they have been going after us for decades. Watching them squirm is fun. And I really don't want that movie to end too soon. So that's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
This is as good as watching a chain gang. I mean, every time Norm Eisen gets in front of a camera, don't you just sit there and kind of giggle?
He's representing one of the I can't stand this story, by the way. The reflecting pool story drives me nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
But
even my husband is so sick of that. He's
really?
We're all sick
our
of it.
local news is obsessed with it. And I'm like, why do you even care?
It's
like, why?
What's the oh my gosh, it's so stupid and simple. But yeah, Norm Eisen's representing one of the vandals. Which
you don't have a choice, right?
Yeah, that's one individual I think a lot of us would like to see go down as well.
But watching him justify communism, watching him justify vandalism, watching him do these kinds of things is, let the asshole keep talking. The best thing that can happen right now. If you do it too fast, that's why I'm saying I'm liking as they pull these chin hairs. You listen to them squeal and it's like noted. Then you pull another chin hair. You listen to the squealing. It's like noted. And you're painting a picture of something that has been completely hidden from public view.
Yeah, no lawyer should ever, or law firm should ever be, should ever use the law or the legal field or the judicial system to target any one individual, any one American. And that's what we've seen Norm Eisen, right? Latham and Watkins and others, knowingly target time and time and time again, investigating an individual in search of a crime, which that's unlawful. I'm sorry, you can't convince me otherwise. That is unlawful, not illegal. Well, illegal, but unlawful. You must investigate a crime in search of the criminal, not the other way around. That's justice.
Well, we've been watching though, where they. In fact, I can tell you, I've been watching the government do this to businesses since about 2010-ish, about 2010, where they actually had to be stopped. Now, mind you, most of my area is in employment law, but they actually had to stop the federal government, Department of Labor, from looking for the evidence to make a crime. They were saying, if you've been denied a job by this entity, and it was a local company, if you've been denied a job at like a fisherman's company or something, a small company or a restaurant, I can't remember now. This is in 2010. If you've been denied a job, let us know. And what were they doing? You had the Secretary of Labor saying, we know there's criminal discrimination out there. We aim to find it. So in other words, we are going to force you to create enough data that we can back into to create a crime and hold you accountable. We watched it from the business sector, and they went after small to mid-sized businesses for a reason, because they didn't have the wherewithal to fight it. So that by the time the bigger businesses went to court, they went to the court and said, look at this slate of information here. This is a systemic issue. Look at all these companies that we collected fines from, because the small to mid-sized businesses tended to bend over and write a check.
Because they have to.
Because they have to.
I actually have a friend.
Well said.
And I can't say too much more, but I have a friend that was actually told that they were being audited for affirmative action violations because the auditor was forced to find a violation, even though they came back clean.
Can't do that.
I know they can't. So they made an agreement. If I give you $5,000, will you go away? That actually happened.
Force them to.
They're forcing the auditors to keep up to
Wow.
find a crime. So if this was happening in 2010
Holy
with
cow.
businesses, why is anybody shocked that it's expanded to the public face now?
That takes my breath away.
Well, again, the 80,
I'm telling you, this is my last. I've been working this.
What's that, Mayor?
the 86,000 IRS people Biden was trying to hire. It wasn't just about $600 Venmos.
No.
That's not what the real story was. Why did they need weapons? Why were they being trained?
Good question.
So we're talking a government that got so weaponized and so drunk on power that the more we complain, think Occupy Wall Street 2008, think Tea Party 2010, the more we complained, the more they came after the people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now here in 2026 where that hammer's been turned on them. And damn it, I want to watch this for a little bit, don't you?
Well, we don't want it to objectively, and I've really put a lot of thought in this. Do you, and I'll actually pose this to the chat. Guys, do you really want this to all be solved right now? And before you answer that question, I want you to also answer, do you think America has learned its lesson? There's a reason why I asked that question.
I'm closing my mouth.
There's a reason why I asked that question.
Repeat the question for everybody one more time.
It's the same. I get the same answer every single time. Do you guys want do you want things, all the stuff that we've all had concerns about, do you want it to be solved right now? And before you answer that question, ask yourself, do you think America has learned its lesson? Why do I ask that question? Because to me, one of my core issues with America is complacency, is apathy. We go back to our 9-to-5s, bread and circuses, and outsourcing policy, outsourcing the running of our country to others, and we don't keep an eye on them. We don't keep track of this stuff. We don't actively participate. And I have a problem with that. I never used to. The longer I do what we're doing, Mayor Kathy, it's made me realize that really the only ones politically active, it's not just politically active, just aware, hyper aware, are everybody that's in the chat right now. Everybody in the chat has a vested interest in ensuring that all of this, that we are, our efforts are not.
But let me point out to something that's obvious. The reason why you've got a chat that's hyper aware, as you put it, is because they have a personal stake.
That's right.
Everybody lost something the last 8 years. Everybody was impacted. Yeah. And the more that grows, because I don't think we're the only ones, obviously, the more that grows, that has a force majeure impact, right?
Yeah.
So this stuff needs to be coming out on a steady pace, that constant drumbeat, to show that we've turned a corner.
Okay.
We're not done, but we've turned a corner.
This goes back to something else I've repeatedly like to say, that our each and every one of our individual wants and needs are not mission requirements.
Right.
Mm.
Right. So, which then the next question I would assume should be, all right, well, what's the mission?
We want a free and fair government, free and fair elections. We want a government of, by, and for the people. Right. I mean, this is the core, the crux of everything.
So, and then I would ask, do you think your wants and needs are,
that is mission essential.
Combat that mission? Yeah, I agree. Right. Like, a lot of us want accountability right here, right now, but don't you think that maybe other things need to happen before a lot of that transpires? And who's to say that that's not what the second half of the administration, this term, is intended for, right?
I do think it is, though.
I think so, too. Right?
I think what we're doing is, and in December, when Nick Shirley first dropped that video, I said, oh, it looks like 2026 is going to be about fraud. We talked about it.
Yes.
It was all about fraud. And that's all it's been about.
Every single day, something new. Always.
But there's a reason for that. It is the perfect time to start talking about 2028 because this becomes a promise made, promise kept, right?
Why do you think J.D. Vance is doing the circuit right now?
Right. But look at what also J.D. Vance is doing. And I want, because we had a long discussion about this in my chat last night. Yeah. Kind of got on my soapbox. I never do that, though, right? But
likewise.
But he's also bringing up religion and making it okay.
Yes.
And that's a big deal. What started that?
I noticed you said religion.
A pastor in the UK.
I noticed you said religion, not just Christianity, too.
Right. Religion. Yeah. And yes, he's a Catholic. But in the UK right now, there's a pastor that was complaining that the king has betrayed the British people. He's the head of the Anglican Church, right? The Church of England. So And I said, I don't understand why people can't see the three sides of the triangle. City of London, money, corrupted. Parliament, rape report, nobody doing anything about it, corrupted. Church, corrupted. You got the three sides of the triangle, and right now, total anarchy in the UK.
See, you guys just heard her say it. She just admitted that she has also witnessed the church being corrupted, so she's not like some sycophant.
I'm not biased here.
Right, I know that, but I think a lot of, I haven't seen it, but I think some people might
I've been accused of that, and
Yeah.
so what?
Yeah.
So I don't really care how simple people
yes.
think. I don't care because I've proven I'm not biased in that. I've done a lot of work on that. But what I'm getting at is when you look at the three sides of the triangle, the 666, you've got an in-your-face, in real-time example of that in the UK. And then you got here Vance talking about God freely, Trump talking about God freely, accountability happening. It is the complete mirror of what you're seeing in the UK. And hopefully people start to see it, because to me it's so blatantly obvious. I can't understand how it's not understood. I get it. People need to understand what 666 truly means. But I'm telling you, we're sitting here looking at a complete pathway to fixing those kinds of problems. And I couldn't be more excited.
And also, when I say that, you know, that we want it done right, I'm not saying that we shouldn't continue to keep pressure on accountability, because that's arguably how we continue staying politically active, or putting that pressure on, that needed pressure on, right? We've even heard Todd Blanche say it himself, that he understands and he encourages.
How do you get faith and trust back, though? The whole goal here.
Oh, that's a big component of this.
Faith and trust of the American people in their government requires accountability.
Yes.
But you know what? We will quickly get to a point where we go, okay, yeah, so you're holding them accountable. What are you doing about it? How do we prevent it? Where are we going next? And that was the goal of today's deck, was to show you we're not just holding people accountable, we're permanently fixing the problem.
Yes, we're ensuring that it stays this way moving forward, even after Trump, right? And if it is what we suspect that precedes Trump, and say it's a J.D. Vance, the healer, right? The great healer. I could see Rubio being VP, maybe, right? I don't see VP playing the role of a healer, but J.D. Vance has got that. He's got a way with words and reaching all sides that I think might call for after. But again, yeah, you're going to need to put some more guardrails in place to ensure that this does not happen in the future. Right.
But I think you got to look at all three sides of the triangle. You can't just do the onesie twosie. We can fix the monetary system. We can fix the weaponization of government that enabled. But we also got to fix our norms and values.
Speaking of finance system, I think I'm starting to develop an idea of what surrounds the whole Epstein saga. Sean, no way you're bringing up Epstein again. Yes. Do you think this is the last time you're ever going to hear about Epstein?
No.
I gotta
so
tell
much
you,
more to Epstein.
Yeah, this is gonna be carved out a whole
the
entire.
Leon Black thing. Did you see my comments to you about Leon Black?
Yes, I did.
Did you not see how I just kind of went off the rails? Blame the dead guy. Blame the dead guy.
Yes.
Yep.
I wanted to spend the last part of the show to maybe discuss that. What do you think?
Absolutely. I love my soapboxing on that one because, man, that ticked me off.
The Leon Black thing?
The go-to, it's somebody else's fault. I mean, why don't we just go back to the Garden of Eden?
I think all right. So I think, all right. Is it possible that what Epstein did was he provided rich people, with an avenue on how to avoid being blackmailed themselves?
We know that for a fact.
Didn't he do that for Leon Black?
He did. Well, not Leon Black's story is a little bit different.
Wasn't there this Russian chick who tried to sue or tried to extort Leon Black for $100 million, and Epstein helped Leon Black on how to how to handle that?
Yes, but the case was fallacious.
Who's Leon Black, for those who might not know?
He owned an investment company. And the issue with Leon Black and Epstein is they had that investment company, Apollo, had hired Epstein as a financial advisor. Epstein charged like $160 million for his services.
But I thought Epstein wasn't a genius or any some.
Well, yeah, he was stupid and mathematically incompetent. Yeah, we heard all that crap. The fact is, he and his partners paid Epstein $160 million for those services. And what were the services? Tax avoidance.
So he had the know-how? Is that what Epstein did?
I don't know. You've also got reputable law firms that vetted the scheme, said, yeah, this works.
But it wasn't a scheme. It was a... Yes, it was.
Yeah.
No, it was.
So it came out that he, $60 million, he says to Congress last week, he tricked me. And I went off the rails about it.
Leon Black said that about Epstein?
Yeah, he told Congress Epstein tricked him about $60 million because Epstein said...
It's not convenient because now he's dead. You can't defend himself.
Yeah, you always blame the dead guy because there's no empirical evidence otherwise. So he said Epstein tricked him out of $60 million because Epstein said that those fees were deductible. Well, this is where I went ballistic. It's like, wait a minute. You're the head of an internationally sophisticated investment firm, and you didn't know about the rules changing at the IRS? Excuse me. Epstein doesn't give you plausible deniability here, bud.
Yeah, he should have known that more than Epstein should have known that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I mean, tax evasion is a decision, and you can't pass the buck to a dead man.
There's still a component of this that we're missing. There's something that is like the key that would unlock our understanding of what it is that is so significant about Epstein. There's a key. I don't know what that key is, and I don't think anybody even speculates.
I don't think we have enough information to do that. What's interesting,
it's almost like deduction at this point could figure it out.
They petitioned the court to force the DOJ to release the information that's behind the redaction walls. We'll have to see where that goes. But we've heard Blanche say many times that they can't find other criminality. Stupid business decisions? Yeah. We've seen that. The fact that Epstein was reminding people you don't want to get caught in a position where you can be blackmailed. We saw that. The conversation with Brennan. Not Brennan.
Epstein
Bannon.
Literally helped Bannon prevent himself from being blackmailed.
Keep a camera going at all times, remember?
But that flies in the face of the narrative surrounding Epstein that he was some sort of blackmail artist. Who the hell would have enough time in the day to blackmail this many people? One individual? You really think that one individual had an entire blackmail ring, blackmailing individuals? You really don't think that word would have gotten around? It would have taken a week. Less than a week for that word to get around to everybody high profile. Fight me on that one.
Each state would have that capacity.
Oh, yes.
They would have that capacity. The entrenched bureaucrat, the CIA units, all the different.
That would mean this whole narrative is actually ass backwards.
Correct.
Wow.
But I think when you've got a situation where, and Leon Black is really kind of a pretty good lens into the bigger issue, where you've got all these companies kind of trying to figure out how to evade taxes. And Epstein is being the scapegoat for getting caught.
Boy, he
had
died
a bigger story developing.
Boy, he died
than
at the
Epstein and
perfect
Leon
time.
Black.
The timing that he died was like the perfect timing.
Right?
Oh, right before that case that would have heard him being such a prolific pedophile that they all claim him to be. I'm not ruling it out. Could be. We could find out at a later date. That's who he is.
Blanche has said they found no evidence of trafficking other than to himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't mean he's not a pervert. It just means his taste wasn't in the underage.
He wasn't trafficking people. And the other part of it is, and this gets into what you and I have been talking about for months, Sean. Blanche has said many times, if a victim comes forward with information that's actionable, we'll use it.
We're waiting on those victims, guys.
Yeah, they've not presented themselves.
Yeah.
You hear that?
Yeah, total crickets.
That's crickets. Still waiting on them.
Mm-hmm.
How come? There's an entire NGO dedicated to it.
Right.
Oh, that NGO, by the way, is propped up and sponsored by the Tide Center. That's okay. Otherwise known as Neville Singham. I'm sure there's nothing going on here, though, guys.
No, absolutely not.
I can't wait for some of that to come out.
I know.
Well, Neville Roy Singham is under absolute investigation right now. That came out today.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, Neville Roy Singham is under the spotlight, as is Soros.
Officially from the DOJ.
Shut the front
officially.
door. Really?
Yeah. Fox broke the story, actually. Fox Digital.
Really? Neville Singham. I'm not saying I don't trust. I just want to see it. Breaking: DOJ opens grand jury investigation into Marxist tycoon Neville Roy Singham and alleged money laundering or other financial crimes from his base to China to funding far-left nonprofits in the U.S. Far-left.
And violence.
Communist, yes.
Democratic Socialists.
But again, that makes his NGO, Tide Center, a political entity, which they're not supposed to do.
No, that's not his NGO.
Oh.
He's funneled money to Tides. Tides is Soros.
Okay, same
One
difference.
of them. There's like 10 that Soros is really big with.
Oh, Jay Clayton.
Yep. It's
Oh.
coming out of his. I know, right?
Oh.
I covered that.
Okay.
Yeah, you're seeing it, right?
Oh.
So please remember the Southern District of New York, their claim to fame is all about money laundering, right?
Yes.
Jay Clayton is in on it with Singham, so we're talking foreign money.
Huh? Now you
Can we go back to Act Blue?
Blue and the
Oh
house
my gosh.
cook and
You're starting to watch it all coalesce. It's wonderful.
Let's not forget Letitia Big Fat.
Yes.
Fat ass Letitia James, yeah.
I need a sound clip of
No.
calling
Wait,
her
Mary,
fat ass.
Mary, you forgot.
I'll send it to you right now. I
Lisa
swear I got
Cook
it.
will be indicted, remember?
Yes.
Bill
I know.
Pulte said that. Right.
I
Bill.
put that out right after the opinion came out, yeah.
I saw that and I sent it to Feisty and she said, "Not yet, Padawan," or something like that. And I put
It's
back
coming.
all caps. No, now. And then I put parentheses. Imagine me as a toddler throwing my sippy cup.
Oh, is that why you said that? I saw that.
Yeah.
I was laughing about the Pulte because I was like, "No, now, damn it, now."
I said, hold on, Padawan. It's coming. Because it's a bigger story.
Yeah.
It's a very big story.
All right. I just sent it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I sent you a book.
You did? Oh, Oh, it's the whole book?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It's a good book. Now let's see if he reads it.
Yeah, I'm going to. Because now I physically have it.
I like to put it in AI and have the AI read it to me.
Look at him
How do you do
dance in
that?
his seat.
I use Speechify, but I'm pretty sure you can use some other AI tools.
Did you read the book? You can put it right through Google.
And it'll do like a
It'll read it to you. Because
You open up the PDF and click on the. It'll read it for you.
Because I move around too much, as you can tell, as I've been moving the entire time. Like I can't.
I'm the same way. I multitask. I got an earbud in and
I'm always doing.
I just had a bunch of little shits. Smashed my front door in on Saturday with a brick. And I caught him all on camera, little pukes, two little shits, 10, 12 years old maybe. Brick right through the front door, caught him on camera. Hopped on my I had too much. I was too excited about this, all right? It was an in real life gotcha bitch. In real life. I literally had the sound bite in my head as I grabbed the kid's shirt. And I think the apples didn't fall far from the tree because the father sounds an awful lot like Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Not gonna
Why
pay.
you?
Not gonna pay for it. I made an effort with my neighbor too, but that didn't follow through with that because I think he realized he's Santa Claus and it'll put him on the naughty list. Literally Santa Claus every Christmas. You can see his house from space.
Wow.
It would make Clark W. Griswold blush. So that was my weekend. Nevertheless, this is exciting. I didn't even know this about Neville Singham, Jay Clayton especially. What's the guy's name who's going to be replacing him in Southern District of New York?
Jeremy
McDonald.
Jeremy McDonald.
I haven't done him yet.
And they have to wait for his. He has to be appointed, right, or he has to be voted in.
Yeah, they've got to appoint him before they confirm Jay Clayton to replace Bill Pulte, which doesn't fix anything because Congress can't stop Trump from holding up the swearing in.
Mm-hmm.
But now Trump has added, and by the way, you got to pass FISA and the Save America Act.
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically telling him, sit on it and twist. You give me what I want, or you're never going to get Pulte out of there.
Yep.
So we're talking for Singham and his financial network, financial crimes including wire fraud, bank fraud, money laundering from his base in Shanghai, where he funds groups supporting the Chinese Communist Party. Todd Blanche has authorized the investigation as the Trump administration seeks to crack down on fraud. Yeah, so there's multiple fraud components to Singham. Many people, I can hear it right now. Why wasn't this tackled earlier? Because
I think we're at the right time.
Yeah, it feels like it, I suppose.
I think the purpose. Remember, we're now going international. So we've captured the state and local. We've got the federal. We're coming up, and now you go to the international. That's the Act Blue piece. That's the SPLC piece.
Right.
It's logical that they're looking into Tides Center and Singham.
So it's not just, for instance, this scenario. It's not just Jay Clayton in the Southern District of New York that's tackling this issue. By the way,
No.
It seems like yes, Todd Blanche is taking this on. Scott Bessent has also taken this on, right? He apparently traveled.
Well, it's money laundering. It's also 990 stuff because he was not a registered foreign agent. So there's other fraud involved in this.
Yeah. Why is Goldman Sachs being brought in on this?
Because of the bank accounts.
Oh, so he's been using Goldman Sachs?
Yes.
And that more, but yeah. Let me ask a question about this.
What, Mayor? Hold on. What, Mayor?
That's the first stop of the money changing.
Right.
It went there first. It's the
Okay.
same thing that she was going over with the layers and how it disseminates the money through about 5 different stops.
Oh,
and
yes.
the point is, you don't know where it originally came from. So Goldman Sachs is just the first stop that the money went.
Oh, wow.
Let me ask a question.
Wow.
Neville Roy Singham is sitting in Shanghai. How do we hold him accountable in a country that doesn't extradite to the U.S. unless what? There's cooperation.
Yeah. And let's remember, Kash Patel has an office there.
Yeah, they've been working together on a bunch of things. Remember when they started working on the precursors, those companies that were making the precursors to the fentanyl went to India. India's now cracked down. They've arrested a bunch of people in India.
We're chasing fraudsters in all the different countries, and simultaneously,
No place to hide.
all of Europe and Australia are getting fed up with the immigration and the violence and the crime. You have the movie that just came out that's going crazy, and in the middle of it, you have FIFA, where you have millions of tourists here realizing they were lied to, and they're experiencing freedom. While our system is not perfect, it is vastly more free than what they have over there.
Well
So they're
said.
actually experiencing it. So you want to talk
It's
about going
great,
back
isn't
home
it?
being a dump of cold water? Would they not be more motivated then to chase corruption within? The timing of this is not lost on me as far as the precipice for the international component. I think that's very important here.
I think that was perfectly
I totally
said.
agree with you.
Yeah, likewise.
And I think the timing right before the midterm, so that the last 2 years are extremely productive, sets up a 2028 like we've never seen before. I think people will have made up their mind.
Yeah, because this comes back to something I've been saying too, that I would make the case that successes will wake people up at this juncture. Okay, maybe not this year or last year, but
All we need enough now is to keep Congress.
what about? All right, you're bringing. This is the next question I would have. Let me get to. We got a friend out there, 412, known as Adel, just rated us. Guys, make sure you're following 412 Productions over on Rumble. I don't even need to let Harold know, but 412, that's a badass Patriot right there. Shout out to Adel and welcome in, Patriots. All right, so what was the last thing you just mentioned? I just drew a
Duffy
blank.
was on Adel's show today.
Oh, Duppy was? Oh, look at that. Shout out to Duppy. Congress. I was going to ask, I wonder what you ladies think the outcome could be if, God forbid, we were to lose the House and maybe keep the Senate, or vice versa. I think it's wise to forecast that.
I think the Senate's more important, but yeah.
I agree. Could we stand to lose one of those two?
Well, we did in 2018, and he was still pretty successful for the last 2 years.
I got to tell you, if something like if elections aren't somehow fortified, secured before midterms, I can tell you right now, I know a lot of patriots that are going to be very upset that things aren't happening fast enough with regards to elections.
Let me point out, because I've said this before, if you're waiting for the media to tell you things are happening, I don't know what to say to you. You should have long since realized they're going to tell you the shit that makes you upset, but they're not going to tell you about the things that are being done in the background.
But that's not media, is it?
Yeah, it's the media, it's the punditry, it's the influencers, and nobody's talking about. I just showed you a ton of work that's being done to stop the issue that's creating the angst we're all feeling.
Yeah.
I'm talking about specifically elections.
But all of that should feed into the elections. It's not.
Okay.
There is a tremendous amount of work to show that these indictments are not phony. They're not pacifying. They're real things that are happening, but you're not getting a whole lot of information.
Also, maybe something to keep in mind, Tina Peters has confirmed that there's things going on behind the scenes.
Things.
We'll say.
Just things.
Yes. Like she confirmed
Some people did some bad things.
You're talking about a political prisoner
Yep.
who was, when I say wrongfully imprisoned, actually it should have gone the other way around. Jeba Griswold is the one that should have been imprisoned, but and she knew this, but she swallowed it, and she come out on the other side. That's only to confirm that she spoke with Trump. She confirmed that she actually spoke with Trump on the phone. That there's things happening, and she couldn't speak to them yet. I think I have the clip staged right now in front of a massive crowd sharing an emotional phone call. Okay, yeah, I have it right here. This is great
fun.
in case anybody has missed it. And let me share it with everybody.
You going to play it?
Yes, this is glorious.
President Trump called me and I said, Mr. President, I said, I feel discouraged. I said, because
She says, I feel discouraged.
after 5 years, and I wore this at the symposium 5 years ago. After 5 years, I'm seeing Ngami get elected. I'm seeing seeing Spanberger get elected. I'm seeing what's going on out in California and Texas and all over. And, but they're working. They are.
But they're what? What'd you say? But they're working.
But they're working.
It may not be on our time frame.
It may not be on our time frame. Kind of going back to, our individual wants and needs and not mission requirements.
You know, she mentioned Spanberger. Back in 2020, Sidney Powell told us in Virginia that if we experienced fraud, she opened up a whole segment of her website for it. Said, let us know. A bunch of us sent proof of fraud, and it went silent. Then the Supreme Court of Virginia came back and said, hey, your rules for the election in 2020 were improperly put in place. You need to reverse them. And we're all like, well, what about the 2020? Dead silence. Then Spanberger goes from House Representative, my district, to governor. And we get Vindman, my district, to, I mean, he's going for a bigger seat.
How do you get all the winners? These
because we are a seat that nobody questions.
Oh.
So, you know, you got all of this stuff happening here. I can't, it doesn't make sense that this is all going under the radar at all. It doesn't make sense at all. Something else is going on. They lost big time in the state Supreme Court on the, you know, trying to redistrict 11-2. That was out and out fraud. And we've got an AG who thinks killing your opponent is just okay, and encourages it. So I mean, we're sitting, we're totally flubbed up, right? There's got to be something going on. And oh, by the way, we still have issues with our budget because of data centers. You go there.
Oh, the data centers. Yes. And she was even a guest on Benny Johnson today. Tina Peters explains exactly how to secure elections and stop voter fraud in America. Voter registration every 2 years in person. Paper voter cards. Citizenship and residency checks. And more. And there's about 2 minutes and 20 seconds on this. Check this out.
We don't need to, there's so much proof out there. We don't need to prove that the elections were stolen. We need for them to come and say, here's the proof they weren't stolen. You know, we need to, like I said, we need to have voter registration every 2 years in person, paper voter card. We need to have citizenship and residency check. We need to have a witness signature, so making the clerks that they can witness the signatures. We need to be stored by precinct. So, you know, a precinct is usually about 2,000 voters, 2,000 people. It's very easy to do. You know, we need the poll books, the mail-in voting. You know, you only need mail-in voting, or you only need absentee voting for people that are verified, that have a need for that. And it's just rampant. Election day, 1 day. The Constitution says there will be 1 day for voting. It needs to go back to 1 day you go vote. And on election night, they're counted where they're cast under video. They're scanned to a PDF, the ballot images, the tally sheets, paperwork. The voting type is the results have to be signed by the judges. So here you have local oversight, local control. So then you don't get into people that want to say, well, the federal government shouldn't be in our elections. But the federal government can be in our elections, because if it's a federal election, you need to save these files that were destroyed for 22 months, and in Colorado, it's 25 months. So there needs to be more oversight. It needs to come down to a local level.
So,
damn,
are you in favor?
Got no problems with any bit of what she just said. In fact,
you know, it's really funny because I brought that up when I was an election official. I brought that up with the precinct captain. It's like, why aren't we counting these ballots? Oh, no, we can't do that. What a nightmare that would be. And I went, okay.
What, to do your duty?
They're really resistant. The ballots go into a box. We seal the box and nobody opens it. And we accept the tally as fact without ever cross-checking. The simplest thing to do.
I wish they did that I wish the IRS kind of rolled like that, you know? Hey, look,
Yeah, right?
Trump just supported everything that the whole show today. Well, earlier, what you said about the Supreme Court ruling, he confirmed it. Feisty, check this out.
Well, because of the mail-in ballot ruling, which was a little bit surprising, gives people more time to vote illegally, let's say. But the SAVE Act is even more important, and that's the right. You have to be a citizen of our country. Okay, you have to show you're a citizen of our country, called citizenship. Voter ID by photo voter ID, and no mail-in ballots unless you're in the military, disabled, you're ill, or you're away, or even on a vacation. We're being very open about it. It's pretty easy. And we'll have honest elections. But the ruling, which a lot of people were waiting for, that was a ruling that was, I think it was very detrimental to honest elections. But it is what it is. Basically, they're keeping it a little bit the way it is now. They may have a little bit of a restriction on based on the wording.
About firing the parliamentarian.
And then you have the very important one, the Slaughter case, which we'll talk about if you ask that question. But the parliamentarian, what were you asking about?
Yeah, have you talked with Thune about?
I have. No, I can't imagine why you keep a woman that was put there by Harry Reid and Barack Hussein Obama.
Oh, he's talking about the parliamentarian that he never fired, Thune. He's calling out Thune for not firing his right? As a staffer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You can fire and replace her. She should be gone.
She should
have been gone a long time ago.
But Thune has not fired her, apparently.
She should have been gone and Trump won, honestly. She has the power to hold stuff and not allow them to be brought.
She's the reason why Pence could do nothing in 2020.
Whoa.
She told McConnell and Pence, you can't do anything about these. These are purported to be true and real,
Holy
and he had to
cow.
count them.
Who is this individual? This person is arguably part of the state
power.
Yeah,
Yes.
Stay Behind Network.
Yes. Yes.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
She was appointed by Harry Reid.
Holy shit. Are you kidding me?
No.
Parliamentarians have crazy amount of power.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, so
It's one of those shadow roles nobody knows about. All eyes are on Thune and all his shenanigans, or Mike Johnson or whatever. But the parliamentarian wields
They wield the majority of power. They're the ones that can substantively change legislation.
I don't ever hear Trump bad-mouthing Thune directly.
Right.
No, he doesn't.
It's like
But I have to tell you, I don't know what keeps her in place. I can't answer that. But it's the same issue we had in 2020.
Yeah.
She prevented them from allowing those alternate electors in. She was the roadblock. It wasn't something Pence did.
Unreal.
Or even McConnell, for that matter.
And she can pull things out of the bills, too.
Mm-hmm. She does it regularly.
Mm-hmm. She strips. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean like the fun poll way.
Mm-hmm.
This person
she
is
just did
unelected.
it recently.
This
she
is
just did it a couple of weeks ago.
Unelected person who is, oh my gosh, overtly bypassing the American citizen. Your average, everyday American citizen. Wow. That person needs to have been removed yesterday. Does Trump have... No, he doesn't have power to do that.
Mm-mm. No, that's straight out of the Senate.
So why hasn't Thune let her go?
I don't...
Is it a compromised issue?
I don't know.
Sounds to me like it is.
I think the caucus is, yes.
Yeah. Caucus, definitely. And the staff, for sure, runs most of the Senate.
Well, yeah, you got LCCHR who runs the Senate staff.
Half the elected senators
in the mix.
They're not that bright. I've watched them talk enough. Like, they're really not
You want to see something interesting, you ought to go to a hearing. Watch them in action.
Wow.
I've been to several.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could go and watch Jasmine Crockett attempt to get her eyes to stay open with all that heavy glue. That would be worth a show.
I tell you, it is eye-opening when you see, because what you see on TV is not everything.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah, it's not everything. When you see the what goes on in the background, it's like, wow.
Then there needs to be more attention brought on these parliamentarians. How many of them are there? Is there one for every senator?
There's one parliamentarian to each chamber.
Oh, each chamber.
The House has theirs. Senate has theirs.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that takes my breath away.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Oh, I had this. What was that? SCOTUS's latest election. Not that. Mike Drop Davis. That was cute. Oh. Should I play this?
Oh.
Should I trigger
Go
Feisty
ahead.
right now? Should I trigger Feisty?
Gosh.
Because that would trigger Feisty. I think I'm going to bypass triggering Feisty. And I'm going to move for Scott Jennings.
Okay, now this one was reasonable.
And we'll do final thoughts after this, because this is about the birthright citizenship, which we have not talked about today. Really.
I've talked about it.
Not in great length, but and I thought this was fair. SCOTUS review and preview of birthright citizenship case with W.A. Jacobson.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll do final thoughts after this.
How long is that?
It's about 9 minutes.
Okay.
All right, guys, get a load of this, and we'll do final thoughts after this. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for hitting that red pill over on Pill. Thank you for hitting that like over on Rumble. Thank you to... Did I miss anybody? Pete Quest, I think. Thank you for the cookie earlier. Pete Quest, Trick Pony with a cookie. General Buford, thank you. Who took home the lead, by the way, in Gold Pills today was Just Fed Up with a 1.6. Dixie in second place at 403.52. And third place with 200. Let's see if anyone wants to give them a run for their money. God bless, guys.
This just into the show, a major blow to the Democrats on redistricting. Over in Colorado, Democrats were scheming to create a major gerrymander for the 2028 election cycle, one that could have drawn out roughly 3 Republicans and taken the state from a 4-4 map to 7-1. But in just the last little bit, the Colorado Supreme Court says no dice. The U.S. Supreme Court has released major decisions today, and the final day of the term is tomorrow. A lot of consequential things coming out of Washington, D.C. Here to discuss the court's activities is Cornell law professor and the founder of the Equal Protection Project, William A. Jacobson. Professor Jacobson, thanks for again joining us here on the Scott Jennings Show. The thing that seems to have conservatives most exercised today is this case on mail-in ballots, Watson v. RNC. The issue is, can you count these mail-in ballots after Election Day? Tell us what happened in your view, please.
Well, the Supreme Court ruled 5-4, Amy Coney Barrett decision joined by the Chief Justice and the 3 liberals on the court, that the term Election Day in 3 federal statutes governing federal elections means that the votes have to be cast by Election Day, even if they are received later. That's contrary to the reading by the conservatives on the court. It's really contrary to what we all understand. There are statutes that designate what Election Day is, what specific date it is. And it is not election days, it's not election week, and it's not election month in the law. And the question is, what does that mean for us? And as Alito said in his dissent, what this means, it's now a free-for-all. This involved Mississippi, which said that they could count ballots postmarked by Election Day but received up to 5 days later. And as Alito said, why 5 days? Why not 10 days? Why not 20 days? Why postmarked? Why not give it to a friend to bring in? None of this has been decided. The only firm thing we have is we know what Election Day is. And so that's where we are. It's opened up a whole can of worms and opportunity for mischief.
Oh my God!
Yeah, this was
so
a
long.
5-4 decision, and it looks to me like the 5 in the majority. This might be the first time these 5 were all together. You had Barrett and Roberts joining all the liberals in this case. It was quite a strange bedfellow situation here, wasn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, one thing that's very interesting, I can't say it never happens, but in all of the politically charged cases, the ones that everybody pays attention to, the 3 liberals vote as a bloc. I don't know if they've ever not voted as a bloc on the highly political cases. So all they have to do is pick off a couple of the 6, and all of a sudden they've got the majority, and that's what happened here. It was very strange, bedfellows. Coney Barrett decision with the Chief Justice and the 3 liberals prevailed. And that's really the reality. You hear all the time, oh, the Republicans, the conservatives have a lock on the Supreme Court. Well, no, they really don't, because they don't vote as a bloc, unlike the 3 liberals.
Yeah, I hear all the time in my job on CNN that the Supreme Court is a wholly owned subsidiary of Donald Trump. But when you look at this decision, when you look at the Cook decision today, he can't fire Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve. When you look at the fact they wouldn't take up the E. Jean Carroll case, they don't always do what Donald Trump wants them to do. It's a little bit of a mixed bag for him. And so I hear this talking point a lot that he controls the court, but it's really not the case, is it?
No, it's really not. I mean, I think the conservatives on the court vote their conscience. They vote what they think is the right thing. They don't vote as a bloc. And that's not always favorable to the president. We saw that with the tariffs and things like that.
So on the positive side of the ledger for Trump, there have been a few rulings lately that have affirmed his presidential authority. Last week, we got rulings on immigration, on asylum cases at the border, and also on this temporary protected status program. That affirmed, I think, a lot of power for him as the chief executive to enforce immigration laws. And today we got a decision throwing out something called Humphrey's Executor, which essentially has to do with the president's ability to fire people from these so-called independent boards and agencies like the Federal Trade Commission. Tell us about this decision today that reinforced the idea of the unitary executive.
Well, that was important. It may not be as present in the popular mind as what is Election Day and mail-in ballots, but this has to do with whether the president controls the executive branch. And there's a concept that the Democrats and liberals push of something of a permanent bureaucracy, that if somebody is appointed, that person can stay over from one president to another if Congress is so determined. And what the court decided today is that that rule no longer applies, that the president has not an absolute right, but close to an absolute right to decide who runs federal agencies. And if that means every 4 years, those heads of agencies turn over and don't become a permanent, deep state bureaucracy, that's what it is. The one exception the court made, and it was a small exception, is for Lisa Cook on the Federal Reserve Board. That due to the unique history of the Federal Reserve, there was a little bit more independence there. They didn't create a high hurdle. You just need to give her due process and let her confront the charges against her. So she's not there permanently. But other than the Federal Reserve, which has a unique historical pedigree, the president has the ability to fire people from executive branches.
So tomorrow, I guess, is going to be the last day of this session for the Supreme Court, and we're expecting some cases in the morning. The one that I think many conservatives are watching is birthright citizenship. The president signed an executive order to end the concept of birthright citizenship. This caused all sorts of predictable howling in the media and on the left. I think the president is right. I think he has more than a point here. What do you expect the court to do tomorrow on birthright citizenship?
Well, the conventional wisdom is they will uphold birthright citizenship. And I think that's underestimating the strength of the arguments against it. That the notion that anyone born physically in the United States is automatically a citizen really has no historical, validity. And Supreme Court's never decided that. They've never decided whether the child of someone illegally in the country, passing through the country here on birthright tourism, is automatically a citizen. And that's something the court's going to have to decide. Has huge implications for who we are as a country, because we know there's a lot of birthright fraud. People fly here. There's a whole industry of people who are flown here, essentially as tourists, give birth here, and now their child is an American citizen. So I think that's a real problem. And I think the ruling should go against it, that it meant what it meant in the 14th Amendment, that it was not for people illegally in the country or temporarily in the country. The 14th Amendment section was passed to make sure that the children of freed black slaves were considered full citizens, not somebody who comes here and overstays their visa and has a child, and all of a sudden that child's an American citizen. So I hope it will go the other way, but the conventional wisdom is it's not.
Yeah, I remember all the conventional wisdom at the time had to do with people reading the tea leaves of the arguments that were made in the court. But essentially what you're saying now is people who break our laws can have their children become citizens, and people who effectively defraud our visa system or our tourist visa system, they can also somehow get a foothold in our country. It really makes no common sense, and I agree with you. I think the arguments here for the president's executive order are much stronger than most people on the left and in the media wanted to give him. You've been listening to Cornell law professor and founder of the Equal Protection Project, William A. Jacobson. Professor Jacobson, we always appreciate your time, and we'll get your reaction to tonight.
All right, so, Feisty, something tells me I got an indicator that maybe, just maybe, you might have something that you might want to lend to this. Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah, because he made the comment about Election Day. I'm just going to read. First of all, read the question, because people don't do that. The question presented is whether the federal Election Day statutes preempt a state law that allows ballots that are cast by federal Election Day to be received by election officials after that day. Okay? The very end of the order is written, the framers recognize the difficulty of crafting election laws applicable to every probable change in the situation of the country. So instead of constitutionalizing election law, they decided that a discretionary power over elections needed to be lodged somewhere. Suffice it to say, that power has not been lodged to this court. The Election Day statutes say nothing about ballot receipt, and we cannot add to the words that Congress chose. So what is it telling you? Congress, get off your backside and do your job.
So whoever proposed...
This has nothing. I'm going to go one more step.
Okay.
I'm going to venture, because this often happens, because Clarence Thomas is such a strict...
He's a stud.
Textualist.
He's a stud.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
I got a man crush, slight man crush.
He often loses the majority, though, because he can't thread that needle. And my venture is that she wrote this opinion because he lost the majority over the fact that there is nothing in the statute about receipt of the ballots. And so what this really does speak to is the fact that Congress needs to satisfy that question. And they haven't. So does it wreak havoc right now? Yes, it does. But it imposes the direct response that Trump gave you, the Save America Act. Because that is one part of the act that can be implemented immediately.
Mayor, do you have any quibble or concerns that the Save America Act will not get passed?
No.
You believe it will be passed?
Yes.
Ooh.
I think pressure will.
What about you,
force
Feisty?
it. I agree. I think pressure,
as well.
And that's the purpose why Trump keeps bringing it up. He's applying the pressure.
But it's all about timing, too.
Leverage. You have Pulte. You have all of the...
And Pulte coming out with why Lisa Cook I mean, she may not be able to be fired because rightfully, I think, the Supreme Court upheld the independence of the Federal Reserve, but it wasn't even about the independence of the Federal Reserve. It was about the fact that because it's independent, he can only fire her for cause. And he put out on his Truth Social that he believed she did something illegal. That's not for cause. It doesn't hold up.
Right.
So, come on, Pulte, my new boyfriend. I'm just going to say.
Well, both of you ladies, what a fantastic job you both did. As always, look forward to next Monday. By the way, Mary, thank you, God bless you, for covering last Monday?
Oh, I love it. It's so fun.
We have a good time. Yeah, thanks to Mary, nobody's ever going to forget about the fallopian tubes.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. I make famous people, and I wear funny headgear.
Did you get my little, what I sent you?
Soundbite? Yes.
No, not the soundbite, but the green app.
Yes.
Okay, good. Trying to be a little more discreet there, but okay, good. Well, final thoughts, ladies.
Go ahead, Mary.
Here, let me set the stage for you. If there was a message that you would want the audience to take from today's show, what would that message be?
Don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. There's a lot happening. It's not the pace that we would like because we're fatigued, but that's okay. Like you
want it done right.
Yeah, you just have to go with the flow. I don't know how else to say it, but don't get black-pilled, because as we lay out all the time, and all of the America Rising media shows lay out different facets of this discussion. We're all covering the things that are happening behind the scenes. We're doing our best to show you. Don't lose hope. I do think it's going to be a very fiery rest of the year. Like
fiery, but mostly peaceful.
I hope. I really hope.
I agree with a fiery rest of the year. And I think after the election, we are going to get exhausted.
Yes.
Because he now will have the full ability to clean house.
It's going to get real fun. And
expect a lot more about faith and religion.
Yes.
Because that's going to be a big topic.
Maybe even a new show.
Yeah, you mean like the one we're supposed to?
Could be.
What, you two?
Yeah, we want to do a show on all of this.
Well, we got to get ARM 2.0 rolling. But by the way, if you're out there listening, for all of you out there listening, we do have another channel that we just started called ARM 2.0, America Rising 2.0, and we're going to be expanding. Surprise, surprise. Shocker to absolutely no one. But yes, and hopefully we can encourage you to maybe bring that new show over there as well.
Well, we're excited about it. We're still
good
pulling it together.
Good. Yeah. You two are both diamonds in the rough. So we're gonna go raid Johnny Boy right now, who just went live. Shout out to Johnny. Shout out to Mayor. Shout out to Feisty. God bless you both. God bless everybody in the chat. And get my message to everybody would be, I encourage people to look at the silver linings. Always look at the silver linings. I can find a silver lining even out of something that's negative or that's ugly. Always. Or dare I say nuance. Feisty, you see what I just did there?
You did. You did good.
Yeah.
I should give you some points for that.
Give me a gold star or two.
A little gold star.
There's yes, always. There's always something that you can pull out of anything negative. I don't care what it is. So,
well, you can always see the bad side.
That's easy.
But please,
that's the easy part.
People, stop listening to the pundits. They're all biased. Yeah. Read the opinions. I mean, it's pretty well laid out.
That's how we start to break narratives. That's how we start to break through right there. And we can't, then you're showing everybody that you can't just be told what to believe anymore.
You know, we've spent decades with people playing with the fringe of the law, manipulating it to their personal intent. I think I'm enjoying watching the letter of the law be applied and them systematically putting things back together. And
That's
I
right.
think it takes a little more time, but it's a lot more permanent when it's done. So just be patient.
Well said.
I would agree.
Well said to you both. All right. Well, I will catch you both next Monday, I hope, God willing. And everybody, also, by the way, earmuffs, Mayor, make sure you check out Truth Blitz, 1 p.m. every single day except for Wednesdays. You don't want to miss
That's
Giggle
because
Blitz.
my show is on Wednesday.
That's right. No, it's because
Not on your
Trend
channel.
Analysis is on Wednesdays with Pinata. You're welcome to join us, though.
So my buddy Enoch is going to come on with us Thursday.
Oh, shout out to Enoch. Really?
He's going to be on with us Thursday. He wants to come on and talk about Patriots celebration. He's got a new album out, so we're really excited.
That's a badass Patriot right there. And Duffy says, what the F is Truth Blitz? I know, that's why I said Giggle Blitz. Giggle Blitz. I'm sorry. No, that's Truth Blitz. All right, you two. I will speak to you both soon. Thank you again.
Have a great day.
All right.
Thank you.
See you guys tonight for America Rising News at 9:30 p.m. Go over, say hi to Johnny. Make sure you hit that follow button. We got to get Johnny's followers. He's almost at 900, by the way. He is 8 more followers away from 900. Go surprise him with a follow. And thank you all. Much love. Peace out.
Whispers in the static, questions in the fire. The veil is torn and the seeker never tired. Scrolls of the ancients carved into stone. She reads between lines while the empire grows. The priesthood of medicine, prophets of law. She claws through the curtain, exposing the flaw. No mask, no guide, just shadow she tracks. Every thread pulled is a world turned back. The faithful will know, though the words may be few. To the blind, every truth is a riddle untrue. Claws of reason, eyes of flame, unmasking the player in the shadow game, where the silence breaks, the hidden shade. She names the unspoken, the world away. Historians eye on the ruins of men, cycles repeating again and again. Digital soldier, a phantom, a spark, a voice through the wires ignites the dark. Voice of iron, breath of dust, piercing the empire built on rust. Keeper of the flame, she stakes her claim, illuminates the nameless, calls them by name. Through Babylon's towers, through Rome's broken gates, she carries the question that history hates. No creed, no tyrant, no mask will remain. When the Feisty-one whisper your true name. Claws of reason, eyes of flame, unmasking the players in the shadowed game, where the silence breaks,